Welcome back to the Wine and Dime Pod, the podcast where we drink wine and talk hoops. I'm Chris and that's Lyndsay. I'm about to open a bottle of Freixenet. We're getting a little Cava going. We'll be celebrating. I don't know exactly. I did just finish a semester of school, so we are kind of celebrating. Because I am going home, proverbially. I'm not going to school anymore. Also going home, Chris Paul of the Los Angeles Clippers.
Yeah, so that's a fun place to start. So wait, because you still have a couple more years of school. It's just you're done for the semester, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Yeah, okay, I thought so. Yeah, so Chris Paul though, he is more than done for the semester, I guess, in a move that is both surprising and entirely unsurprising at the same time. Yeah, Chris Paul is no longer a Clipper, which really just seems like another, I don't know, another kind of like nail in the coffin of the 25-26 Clippers. They're just a mess. They're a shipwreck.
Big time, end of an era. It's got to feel a certain way to know that you're probably the best player in franchise history. And one day in the middle of the night, he posted on his Instagram story, "Hey man, I just found out I've been sent home." Like that's not really the end that I think
Yeah,
he had imagined for himself.
no.
And people immediately started bringing up the Blake Griffin trade to the Pistons and how they'd made a shirt where Blake was next to like Gandhi and world leaders from the last 150 plus years, and they were like, we want you to be here forever, and then trade them 3 months later. It feels like the Clippers, after all these years of trying to be like the good guys of LA, the alternative to the Lakers, maybe they kind of moved kind of dirty too. You know
They
what I mean?
always kind of did. They were just trying to like launder their reputation.
Mhm.
They were kind of trying to do that. That's what the Saudis are trying to do, like launder their image through sports. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because I've always had a lot going on. Obviously, the Donald Sterling situation being a joke for much of his tenure, and then like Chris Paul came and made them relevant with Blake Griffin and DeAndre. But then, I mean, it's hard not to draw comparisons to the Blake situation when then Chris Paul hops on a FaceTime call with DeAndre and Blake to talk about it. And then Blake Griffin obviously reamed out the Clippers on Amazon Prime because Blake Griffin has a platform now. And
Yeah.
yeah, so the blows just keep raining down on the Clippers. I mean, I think it's Chris Paul is obviously a notoriously cantankerous person to say the least.
Well, we can go with that. We can go with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll be
Yeah,
kind.
yeah, yeah.
He is the point God, after all. We'll be kind. He has a very particular style of leadership, we'll say, and it can be grating.
It's direct.
And yes, very. And his style of leadership is what every like dad laments that like how coaches can't coach anymore. But if it actually happened, they'd be really pissed about it, you know? Like, yeah. Because you see all these things of how like, oh, coaches back in my day, and it's like that's how Chris
Hmm.
Paul leads. And if a coach actually coached that way, you'd be pissed. Your child would be
And
like,
he's also not the coach, which is probably extra annoying.
well, yeah, because then the coaches are like, shut the fuck up, Chris. No one likes to know it all, Chris. But which is kind of sounds like what happened a little bit. That Ty Lue, there's been a lot of reporting about obviously what happened and mixed reporting, but I mean, the leaders. I feel like the Clippers have always had like a weird leadership vacuum though, in terms of players. Kawhi has never been known as a very vocal leader, obviously.
Mm-mm.
PG had a credibility problem, and James Harden, I think, is
Harden is not really the vocal lead. His
he's
teammates like him. Like he's
yeah.
not a problem, but like he's never really necessarily been known as
So he's basically the de facto
that
leader
kind
of
of
the
guy.
team right now, and he's not really a leader. Is Yeah, exactly in that sense, right? Like, not that he's an unlikable guy, but that's just not who he is. So it's kind of always been like Ty Lue has been kind of the strongest voice, and you had to know that like things were going to get weird with Chris. And then, I mean, they were honest about his role. I don't think he was pissed about his role necessarily. I think he was mad about a lot of accountability issues that seemed to plague the Clippers regarding certain players, especially like Kawhi Leonard. And I mean, not that I think Kawhi got him fired, because I don't think Kawhi ever calls Lawrence Frank about anything ever. But
He does not. Lawrence Frank does not have Kawhi's number. Like there's no
yeah,
chance.
right? Like they literally meet like when it's time to negotiate contracts and whatever. That's basically it. Um, Kawhi just appears. He's just there at his door. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, with his agent. So, with Uncle Dennis. So, I feel like I don't know. I just it's weird. This one feels sort of strange. It was kind of like, well, obviously this happened. What did we expect? But I do feel bad for Chris Paul. I think it's a crappy way to go out. It's the Clippers are just sinking. They're a sinking ship, and I don't really know what happens from here. But
It's tough for the franchise. They just opened up the new arena. They put all this money into it. They thought they had the longest active playoff streak in the NBA. Since Chris Paul joined the team, they have not missed the playoffs a single time, and they definitely will this year. And it's
yeah.
just like, man, they thought they were building something. They're going to establish a fan base out there, and it'll just be a whole bunch of ass this season. It's not what they wanted. Now you got your franchise's best ever player, and your second best ever player, both mad at the franchise. Also a bad look for the fans, but yeah, I can see why guys would be annoyed with Chris Paul being like that on a bad and old team, especially when it was easier for Chris Paul to be like that when he was one of the 3 or 4 best guards in the league. It's a little bit harder when you're scoring like 3 points a game. You know what I mean? It doesn't carry quite as far.
100%. It's a little harder when you're not in the rotation.
Yeah.
Yes, you're Chris Paul and you carry a legendary status, but at some point, like, bruh. And I mean, like surrounding kind of their time, like it sounds like he was in different, going to different events. Like he was taking advantage of the fact a bit that he wasn't really playing a lot. Like he was traveling a bit on top, right? Which is fine. He's earned that right. But I don't know. I'm not really surprised it ended this way, but it is still kind of a shitty way for Chris Paul, for a legend, to go out. Do you think another team picks him up?
I think so, but I think it's just going to be like the Knicks picking up PJ Tucker last season to give them some. I don't think he's going to spend a lot of time on the court. They're looking for another coach, another voice in the locker room. Maybe a team who has a star who could use a little nudge, or either a nudge like personality wise in terms of accountability, or maybe a young guard who they think we could use an expert pick and roll operator to help him up his playmaking game or something like that. I don't think he's going to be checking in the fourth quarter in a playoff game unless something really bad happens to somebody's starters this season.
What do you think of a team like the Timberwolves then?
That's exactly who I had in mind. I was thinking
Yeah,
for
like a young star
Dillingham.
who could use kind of like a nudge. And like Dillingham, yeah. I think the Wolves have good young players, but I think that like a lot still has to fall on. It's still kind of the Anthony Edwards save us show, and they need to fix that,
I,
frankly.
I swear though, if Julius Randle takes one possession off on defense, Chris Paul's gonna have him seeing red. Like he's gonna.
Yeah, that could end poorly. But I think they have a
Yeah.
strong leader. I mean, Tyler's a strong leader too, but I think that Anthony Edwards is the kind of star who, like Chris Paul, I think Chris Paul could focus a lot of his attention on someone like Anthony Edwards,
Mhm.
and everybody else in that locker room I think would follow. It's just like a more tight knit situation. They already have more vocal stars. I think Anthony Edwards wants that leadership. I think it would be more like the Oklahoma City situation where players
Mm.
like Shea and even like Dennis Schroeder, like they can kind of handle that because they want that. Like I think that Shea, something that's unfair about Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and that season is that he like you never heard anything about like Chris Paul being difficult, but he was, right? And I think a lot of it is like Shea, for as chill as he seems, he wants to be coached and he wants to be great, obviously, right? I mean, he had one of the greatest seasons ever last year. And so he could handle that. And I think Anthony Edwards clearly has shown that he can be that guy, that he wants
Yeah.
that, right? And like he's vocal about that. He's even said it. So he can handle a much more direct style of coaching, which is also, I think, why it's worked with Chris Finch, because Finch is a very like good people person. He knows how to coach people like that and also players who need a little softer approach. But I think Chris Paul would also like he'd be like the Pat Beverly sort of like how good that was for the Wolves, except like he actually would be just like another coach, and it would really help with developing Anthony Edwards as a playmaker because I think he could probably use. He's been really good at making those right reads and whatever, but I think that having someone like Chris Paul, and I think he would respect Chris Paul. He respects the OGs. So
Yeah, I think the idea of Chris Paul and the Timberwolves makes me think of that. As far as like how Ant will respond to it, it reminded me a little bit of with Team USA. Steve Kerr told Ant like, "Oh, if I saw you working out like that, like I wouldn't have drafted you number 1 overall or whatever." And he was like, and he took that as, "Oh, I need to work harder." He didn't take that as like, "Oh, that's offense. Like I'm an all
yeah,
star." Blah 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 blah. He was like, "Oh
yeah,
no, that's okay. I need to set my shit up." And like I think Anthony Edwards is actually, for all his like goofiness, he is somebody who like has like the work ethic and who wants to be pushed.
yeah. I agree. I think like his shenanigans off the court have been a lot less reported on than someone say like John Morant. But I think the difference is that, and not to say that Ja doesn't have the work ethic, but I think there's been a lot more distraction and like different things that have kind of just gotten in Ja's way in a way that Anthony Edwards is mostly like when it comes to basketball. has maintained a certain focus, perhaps, and never quit on his team in the same kind of way.
Yeah, we've seen Ja pout on the court. We have never seen Anthony Edwards do that.
Yeah, and Anthony Edwards has had a lot of times where he could, right? Like especially
Yeah,
like early before they started winning. I mean, oof, they were bad. So, and
it's the
you know,
Timberwolves.
it's the Timberwolves. They're you could cry just for being on the Timberwolves. But the fact that he's just like so motivated, so I don't know. And I mean, I guess his off-court shenanigans have been a little bit less serious than Jaws in fairness, but still, it's very
Yeah,
interesting how like Anthony is like he seems like an unserious person, but I think he actually is a very serious person. And
yeah, people really like him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's
John,
like a yeah. He's a maybe a little irresponsible with his own shit, but like
yeah.
people fuck with him. Like,
Yeah, I mean, like Katie's famous thing that's like, stop who's stopping, like John and Anthony, it's like, well, baby mamas and guns, and it's like, yikes, that's not great. But I mean, it is what it is, I guess. But I think he's like, people love him because I think he still cares so much. I think he's just like, but he's also just funny. He's very disarming. He's very like aware of himself as well, too, right? Like, I think he's very just like, he's not trying to be anybody but him either. He's not a poser. He's not trying to be anything other than who Anthony Edwards is. And
yeah,
Anthony
yeah,
Edwards
yeah.
is kind of a wild person, but like John Krasinski at The Athletic is always really has great insight into Anthony Edwards because he
It's a
does
little
with
bit
all
of
the
that
stars.
the Charles Barkley like I'm not a role model. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. But at the same time, he's like shows up for kids, like
Yeah.
like the whole wristband story with that kid with cancer was like really cute and like just things like that. So he doesn't show up for I don't know. He's a good dude, but
That video of him shopping at Target with some kid, and like
yeah,
he was telling him to badger his teammates to make sure he gets some stuff from them. That was pretty wholesome. That was good stuff.
yeah, right.
That was good stuff.
So
I
I
like
don't know.
it.
Me too.
He just maybe
I think
gotta be careful out there, man.
he sure does. Yeah, he sure does. I feel like he could benefit from Chris Paul in his life.
Chris Paul gonna have him at church on Saturday, Friday, Sunday.
All day, every day, all weekend. Oh man, yeah. I don't know. I think that would be a good team for Chris Paul. He'd have a chance to win, which would be cool as well. I mean, I think he's probably accepted that's probably not happening at this point, but like Joe Ingles has been such a good kind of person on the Timberwolves, and I think Chris Paul could have kind of a positive effect too. But I mean, I don't know. It just depends where Chris Paul's at in his career, is what he wants to. I think how much he wants to play, how much he really just wants to be a mentor.
Yeah. I mean, he popped up off the bench for the Spurs for a minute, and that wasn't a team that even had championship aspirations.
Yeah,
I think he'd be all right. The Wolves are better than
for
last year's
sure.
Spurs were.
I guess the thing is that he chose the Clippers because he wanted to stay. He wanted to be at home.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious what he decides to do. Like, I don't think he's done. I think he wants to finish out his farewell tour, but at the same time, it's like it's also low-key embarrassing.
Hey man, you could see Chris Paul in Panathinaikos next year or something. You know, keep it going.
Yeah.
Point guard,
Well, it also
second era.
decide. It also, I guess, does depend a lot on what the Clippers decide to do with him, right? Because he can't be traded till the 15th of December, so they can't really do anything with him at the moment. He signed as a free agent, so there are some limitations. But curious to see if they trade him or they just cut him or like what the choice is.
Yeah, when I first heard that he got sent home, I interpreted it as he got cut, but no, they were just like, go home. Like, I didn't
You
even
are
realize he
a
meant literally he got sent home. I thought they meant
Yeah,
he
Chris
got
Paul
removed from
energy
the roster.
vampire. Yeah,
Yeah,
Chris
no,
Paul
they were
energy
just like,
vampire.
man,
Apparently.
take a break. Take
Get the
5.
fuck out of here, bro. Yeah, please. Please leave
Yeah,
us.
that's
Not
tough.
ideal. Yeah,
That's a
that's
grown
tough.
ass man. He's like 40 years old. They said
And
go
they
home.
proceeded to like blow the doors off the Miami Heat.
They put him on timeout like he's not 40 years old.
I know, right? Right before they're about to play the team who they like their leading scorer in Miami, like he's going off, was on their team last year and they moved him for salary cap reasons. Norm Powell, Storm and Norman, crushing it down in
Man,
Miami. That was
man.
a big the Clippers are bad at like the Clippers took a calculated risk and boy were they bad at math. Cause like getting rid of Norm turns out bad idea. Really
And he
bad
was their
idea.
best guy all last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this late career renaissance for Norman. Like I love Norm Powell and Raptors
You
fans.
love it because every 3 weeks he gives an interview about how much he misses Toronto. Like that's what it
No, I
is.
genuinely actually love Norman Powell as a player. So I do love it for him. Like, I mean, obviously Raptors legend, but like I am happy for him. Like I'm happy that he's
Yeah.
found his groove later in his career too. Like and because there was never any guarantee his game was gonna like age super well, right? Who knows? His trajectory was never exactly linear, so it's been kind of exciting to see him just feeling like at home and whatever. So, and obviously Yeah, I do love that he's like still loves the Raptors and whatever, but like I just actually really like Norman Powell. I like his game. He's fun to watch. I've just always appreciated him as a person, so I'm genuinely happy for him.
I'm starting to wonder now. I'm coming up on. I've been in Toronto for over 3.5 years now. I'm also from Southern California, like Norman Powell is. I wonder which one of us is going to have the longer stint in Toronto. Like that's what I'm trying to figure out. It looked like he had a solid like 5.5 seasons. So
Yeah.
I got a little time left, but we gonna get there. We gonna get
All
there.
right.
We might. I wonder if he has PR, like because I don't.
He probably does. Oh man, that's funny.
Damn, he
Yeah,
had OHIP probably. I'm
yeah,
envious.
I am sure he did. Yeah, but yeah, the Clippers, I'm sure, are missing him also at the moment. I don't think he's missing the Clippers very much, though. He's destroying it. He's destroying down in Miami, and I mean, Miami's also a pretty nice city, so I'm sure he's fine with it.
If you're gonna get moved from LA, Miami is not the worst place you could get moved to. Some people may even prefer it, depending on how much you like, how much you.
Florida, Florida, having to live in Florida seems like it would be.
Yeah, that is the downside though. We
That
do
does seem
like the
like a thing that
tropics,
would
but
sway your decision a little bit.
I mean, for some though, that no income tax outweighs the social and political aspects
And
of
just
life in Florida.
the
Yeah,
craziness of Florida. Yeah.
rich folks have different concerns than we do.
Ah, yes.
They live
Yes.
in gated communities.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Yeah.
You don't go to Walmart.
That's why Wayne Gretzky loves it there so much.
Well, every white dude in Ontario loves living in Florida.
Fact. Yeah. True fact. I guess those white dudes from Alberta mostly go to Arizona.
Yeah, I've checked. So, as a former Arizonan, I've checked
Although
hundreds of Alberta IDs.
the super wealthy go to California.
Yeah. If you want to know how often I ran into people from Calgary specifically, like at the liquor store I worked at, we had to call a manager for out of state IDs. Anything that was non-Arizona that was in the U.S., but we didn't have to call a manager for Alberta IDs. Calgary, man, they out there heavy.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
love Arizona. It's warm.
Yep.
Yeah. It's been snowing for like 3 straight days, so I could fuck with Arizona right now.
This time of year, Arizona is nice. In the summer, it is
It was a bit
the
much, won't
first the
lie.
first circle of hell. I think was the hot one. I think the last one was the cold.
Yeah, whatever. A circle of hell for sure. It's hot as
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I could fuck heavy with Arizona right now in this very moment because it's cold here. Very cold here. We got our first -20 day of the winter, so that was fun. Anyway, yeah, it's still rolling. Yeah, they are cool. They were really cool.
Karmically, they no longer suck. So,
Yeah.
good for them.
The Mercury, when we went to the Mercury game a couple years ago, it was like their Native American night.
Yeah.
And so it's still, sorry, weird saying Native American as a Canadian because that's not a term you use here.
Yeah, y'all mostly say indigenous. In the States, indigenous and native are both used.
Well, here it's like, so Indigenous is like 3 different groups, so it's best
Yeah.
to be as specific as possible. So like if you
Yeah.
can, like First Nations or Métis or
Because y'all have the Métis. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, it's Native American is not a term. So Native is a term, but it's like not a good. It's like offensive.
Yeah, I hear folks use native, but not so much Native American anymore. But I do
No,
hear
it's
native,
not.
so, yeah.
Yeah, it's not Native American here either, like at all. But yeah, anyway, it doesn't matter at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, in the States, I mean, not here. Here they
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
use native.
No, well, we use the term Native, but it's like we used to, but it's like not
Yeah.
great. Yeah. Anyways, but anyways, it was like they had they had a bunch of people from different bands, and they had some dancing and stuff at halftime, and they honored like some basketball programs. There was a ton of kids there. It was really cool. It was a really cool night, and I like when teams are starting to do more of that, especially in places where there is a really large indigenous population. Like Minnesota's
Yeah.
kind of worked with the Lynx in particular. I don't really know as much about the Wolves. They worked with a lot of the local tribes, and Connecticut obviously being owned by the Mohegan Sun.
Right.
I've been always
Right.
very connected, but yeah, it was really cool to see that move from the Suns. And yeah, maybe it'll help their karma in the long run of seemingly being owned by some not so savory billionaires.
Yeah. Sun's owner's been sued like 7 times now since purchasing the team or something like that. Which, yep.
Yeah, we
I
thought
think he got
seven.
accused of using the team like his personal piggy bank or something along the lines. Was the quote? I have to double check on that, but yeah, I mean, Yeah. It's been an interesting era of ownership. The last few owners for the Suns and the Mercury.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. And owner culture is so weird. I just like I can't. I don't know. I can't get behind. It's just weird. It's like none of them are good people, but some of them are better than others in terms of being sports owners, and we reward
Yeah.
them for that. It's
Did
like
we did we
you
talk
are
about the
rich as hell.
rebrand?
But then it's like, yeah, we did. But then it's like weird as hell that now like there's more and more private equity, and so it's almost like gonna be lost days of even knowing who owns the team.
Oh yeah, no.
And that's
30% of it is owned by
scary.
like some fucking shadow corporation
Like a
from
part of
like
me would prefer a piece of shit like Robert Sarver than that, because at least you can identify the bad. I don't know. Like it's just a weird thing. And this private equity, I don't know. I'm listening to a book right now about private equity, and it's like terrifying. I don't like it.
real bad. They're trying to like uh financialize like the idea of like betting on any fucking thing in the news
Yeah.
now, which is nuts. Like shit is out of control, man. It's
Well, and like
scary
what's weird
stuff.
to me when it comes to the sports is like it's almost making me feel bad for people like Robert, like for these like billionaires, like the Cronkies and these people who I'm like, or like the Bus family. They're like, oh, these small. Everyone's like, oh, they're just a family business, a
Yeah,
small
they're
family
poor.
business. The Lakers, the Los Angeles fucking Lakers.
Yeah, they're team poor in the way that new homeowner is like a house poor, you know?
Yeah, 100%. In the way that I'm wine poor, I think I got a lot of wine here, but I got no money.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm like, why am I don't feel bad for them, but they're making me feel bad for them because private equity is worse. It's so strange. I
I only
don't,
feel bad for them when the owner of my team. Like then I'm like, hey man, somebody throw my guy a handout, please,
I don't because the
please.
owner of my team is a soulless corporation.
I mean, yeah, mine is good old
James
JB
Dolan.
in the straight shot. Mine is a world renowned blues musician, a rock and roll star.
Oh my God.
I think he
Yeah,
opened for the Eagles in his own arena
I
one
think
time.
so. Yeah, I
That was pretty.
remember. Yeah, that's like the ultimate. I own this place, so you're gonna let me on stage moment. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're the Eagles, so yeah, no. Oh, Dolan. But that's the thing. At least there's like personality. Better than private equity, no personality.
Yeah, they don't even want you to know who's involved in the private equity groups.
No.
At least we get like cornball billionaires trying very, very hard to be cool.
Like, I don't know, Steve Ballmer sweating his face off on the sideline, going crazy, like looking like he just took a bunch of speed is fun.
Yeah, it's a certain type of fun, but it's
Yeah, it's an energy. Yeah, it's an energy. But I mean, it's better than anonymous, you know. But I mean, to be fair, then you see Steve Ballmer doing shit like potentially circumnavigating the salary cap, and maybe private equity is better for the competition of the game.
I was fully expecting you to say the globe, and I was like, wait, tell me more. I've never heard that word used in any other context.
Oh God, no. But yeah, Ballmer, I don't
Just
know.
sent him out on a fucking boat.
Cast all the billionaires off.
He fucking Amelia Earhart's like,
Send all the billionaires off. And but then
yeah.
it's like fucking. But then it's super weird because in the WNBA we're like rooting for these people to become the owners because we want money in the sport.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think community ownership is never going to happen in North American sports again. There will never
No,
be a fucking like Green Bay Packers trust in our lifetimes. That's for sure.
absolutely not. Yeah,
Nah,
those days are very dead.
nothing short of like post-nuclear war rebuilding will ever allow that to happen. Like,
Well, because when in a culture where a figure like Mark Carney, investment banker, is considered like a communist by some
it's
people,
crazy. That's
then
crazy,
yeah, yeah, collective ownership of nothing. Yeah, yeah, wild.
man. He once expressed sympathy for a poor person. Now he's a communist. That's crazy.
Yep.
Probably not even that much sympathy. He's probably like, damn,
No,
tough man, tough day, huh?
that's yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, it's cold out here. Hey, that sucks. Shit. Anywho, gotta go to my job here. Hate looking at that on my way to work. Yeah, no, not a lot of nuance these days out there. So
Nah, political discourse is pretty. Uh,
yeah, it's pretty wild. Pretty wild. Anything else on? Well, we're just doing some. I guess we'll just hit some. Anything like NBA news you kind of wanted to hit really quick, other than the Suns?
man,
I mean,
we're
yeah,
getting pretty close to when we're starting to understand if teams are
good or
a
not.
hot pile of dog shit or not. There's a few teams, honestly, even at this point in the season, we can just call it. I mean, most of the, other than the Clippers, those are all teams that weren't supposed to be good this year. I mean, the Pelicans have been trying to be good for the last 5 years, but nobody's had any faith in their ability to do so.
Including them, yeah.
I don't really put them in the trying to be good category because I think we know that
No.
those efforts are always in vain.
The Sacramento Kings are still a joke, but because the Kings are always gonna Kings. That was, yeah.
Yeah, what if we recreate the Bulls of 5 years before, but everyone's older and worse?
Speaking of the Bulls, they've kind of been on a bit of a slide since their hot start.
It felt a little bit like fool's gold. Like there's some
It
legit
always
good players
does.
on that team, but like it didn't seem sustainable that they would be in the top half of like they were not going to be a team that floats above the play-in all year. That was not going to happen. Now they're back in
Yeah,
their rightful place, 10th place in the Eastern Conference, where they belong.
that sounds about right. Meanwhile, the Hawks, Kaka, are surging without Trae Young. The Magic are surging without Paolo, although I think that they'll have the ability
He
to
played
absorb.
today.
Oh, he's back. Perfect. I mean, it's good because I guess
He's
Francie got
back, and
hurt.
now Franz Wagner is hurt.
Yeah.
There was a German on German collision in the sky today. Aerial hook Porty hit him pretty good, and he kind of landed awkwardly and went down grabbing his knee. Magic also lost. It was a weird game. It had one of the weirdest plays I've ever seen, where Desmond Bain just full on like Brett Favre launched a basketball at OG Anunoby, who was out of bounds, like fully out of bounds and on the ground, and he tried to make a case that he saved the ball. I think he just didn't know what end of the court he was on. OG, the first time I've ever seen him shove somebody, he was like, "Why the fuck did you throw that ball at me?" Like, he was confused, more so
Yeah.
than being aggressive. It was very weird. It's very weird.
No
He got attacked.
kidding. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, no kidding.
yeah.
That's strange moment. Very, yeah. Well, I think that Bankero will be able to fit into what the Magic were doing before he left a lot easier than the Hawks and Trae Young. So that's like a very interesting sort of situation to monitor. I don't know who wants Trae Young necessarily, but he is clearly very talented still, so it's not like nobody. But I don't know. Interesting. The Spurs have been so much better than we expected without Wembanyama, so that's been cool. De'Aaron Fox has like also been on a heater lately. Him and King's teammate Harrison Barnes have been crushing it.
I mean, that's huge. Like, just I think people forgot about Fox because Wemby had such a crazy start to the season and Fox was out. But now with Wemby out, it gets to be, the better version of the Kings of, well, last season, not the one from a couple years ago. They
Yeah,
were awesome. Fox can run the show. Like, he really can. So they have somebody who's there who can keep them afloat if Wemby's out, which is something they didn't have the luxury of before. They're
right?
a good team. They're a good team. They have several good players. There's some rumors that they're interested in trading for a certain large Greek man. I don't know to what extent they want to like fuck with their timeline, but and how a Giannis Fox fit would work necessarily, but him and Wemby as a combo would be like that's like what I would have imagined like future basketball would look like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just fucking arms that go from one 3-point line, one side of the corner three to the other corner three, and just envelop the entire fucking court. Like it'd be insane.
Arms for days. Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess we should talk actually about the Giannis situation. He's injured now, the calf strain for 4 to 6 weeks or so. So thankfully it wasn't worse. A torn Achilles would have been
yeah,
the worst. So thankfully he is okay, but still calf strain, not great. He's
yeah.
just
We've
kind of
officially reached the point where calf strain is like two of the scariest words in
yeah,
professional basketball. Like I hear that and I'm just like, no. Like it used to be like calf strain. I'm gonna rest him a couple days, put him back out there. Now I hear calf strain. I'm like, put him on ice. Don't let him walk. You know what I mean?
literally, yeah, keep that, give him a scooter. Get him a scooter right
Wrap
now.
him in bubble wrap.
Well, especially him because he is so important. The Bucks are absolutely just like just cooked without him. I just don't really know what they do. So one of the things too is that like it's kind of weird how people have been less interested in clamoring for Giannis than you'd expect. Like there seems to be more apprehension in the reporting around
Mm.
who wants to trade for him, in part because everybody's feeling like, well, we have our players mostly in place in lots of cases. And I think the Kevin Durant trade, well, a number of Kevin Durant trades have been a good example, especially the Suns though, of why like perhaps maybe going all in isn't really worth it just for the sake of it. And so I
Mm.
think there's some players, some teams who are like, well, we could just sit on it for a minute because we're kind of cooking something here, and why get more expensive faster if we don't have to? And
Yeah.
also, like, Giannis is starting to rack up a pretty significant history of injuries
Mm.
the last few years. He's worth a lot of money. The spacing is kind of an issue in some cases. So I think that there's just like more apprehension, which is really interesting. So yeah, like I mean, there's definitely a lot of talk about a team like Oklahoma City, which would be nuts, but they have the ability to do so and still potentially get a number one pick, and they're like a very high pick in this draft. The rich could get much richer.
Yeah.
It just depends what the Bucks want, I guess, as well, out of it. I think that they will probably prioritize trying to get their own picks back.
Yeah. I
Can't
would
just
think they would
tank
want a
for
full
nothing.
teardown if they traded him, but at the same time, they just went out of their way to get Miles Turner. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
this is a team that seemed like it was supposed to be trying to compete. I
yeah.
don't know what their goal is, but I do think the second apron thing is trying to that scared a few teams away who would have already tried to chase Giannis. And then the other thing is like I think a lot of the teams who would be trying to chase him have already spent all their draft picks, so they would need them to not want a full teardown because
Yeah.
everybody who's good is out of picks. So you would need to
They got
trade
tired
players
of
for players.
waiting. They got tired of
Yeah,
waiting. I mean, like the Knicks, like a bunch of these teams, they all got tired of waiting for him to be free. So they're like, all right, well, let's move on.
yeah,
The Knicks cashed in on or Michael Bridges, which like,
yeah. We traded for McHale and Cat, so that goes all the
yeah,
picks.
right. Who else? Like Miami, I guess, could be interested in Giannis still, but I mean, they don't have a lot to put around him or offer to get him. The Spurs, I think, are, potentially right to say they want to sit and see what they have first because they have a really interesting young team. And again, the De'Aaron Fox situation. So how does that fit? You just traded for him, right? He's the player you guys identified that you needed to go get. So how does that work? The Hawks, there's been a lot of actually a bit of smoke around the Hawks because Giannis's agent actually had interviewed for the GM position with the Atlanta Hawks, and there's been a lot of discussion about that. So like maybe a Trae Young for Giannis kind of trade, which would be interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I Part of me wants to see Giannis stay with Milwaukee just because I really like that single franchise thing. It's like romantic to me. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm sick of this weird, gross situation in Milwaukee. Like, there's just a lot of nasty basketball coming out of Milwaukee, and everyone seems like they need a change, you know?
Yeah, it'd be cool to see like an actual franchise, a little bit better front office inherit him, but it's hard to say what a player like him looks like as aging and injuries start to take hold more often. Like, does he
Yep.
become like a pure post up dude? Like, because he could, he would still be dominant, but it'd be such a different look from the guy who is sprinting it up the floor and basically running the point guard and doing all this other stuff. Like, I don't know what Giannis looks like at 35 when he's making 70 million a year. You know what I mean? But he'll be good. It's just, will he be good in a way that like every team can figure out how to fit him into what they're doing? I don't know. But it's weird to see teams not jumping through flaming hoops to try to trade for a top five player who's only like 31.
Yeah, this whole apron nonsense has definitely messed with the crazy trade markets and like the amount of trades that were happening. I feel like it's really decreased. People, they have to be a lot more calculated to make these trades now. I'm curious if we start to see maybe a return of free agency a little bit. With that as a result, perhaps. But yeah, it's been really interesting to see not as many teams kind of jumping through hoops to go for players who are like not that old, but the injuries are certainly concerning, I suppose. But yeah, it's kind of wild. No Giannis on Christmas Day. Did you want to talk about the Christmas Day slate, or do you want to just quickly touch on
Yeah,
the news we have?
it's a nice little lineup of games as always. One thing the NBA has done really well, certainly in a way that is like philosophically different from how the NFL handled Thanksgiving for so long, where they had it was always going to be the Cowboys, always going to be the Lions, and then eventually they added that third game. NBA has made Christmas its day, and it's been marquee matchups basically every time. This year we got 5 games. Is a lot. That's a lot of hoops
Yeah.
on a holiday that most people are ostensibly spending with their families and shit. But got 5 games this time. In order, it is Cavs at Knicks. You gotta. The Knicks are pretty much always gonna host. They want that Christmas game at MSG, obviously.
Yeah.
Spurs at Thunder, which is get to that in a second. That's pretty fun. Mavs at Warriors, Rockets at Lakers, and Wolves at Nuggets. Which they've kind of, I feel like the Wolves have kind of been, those two teams have kind of been in that token late night spot a few times lately.
Yeah, they've kind of taken over for that Lakers Warriors spot because that spot was like, yeah, that Lakers Warriors for a long time. It's been kind of fun to see that though, that those two teams in particular. And it's because it's always good drama. Like the Wolves, no
Yeah.
matter how shaky they are, will always get up for a game against the Nuggets. And the world deserves to see Jokic on Christmas Day. So
Yeah.
it is a Christmas gift to all of us to see him play basketball.
Two cold ass cities playing at 10:30 Eastern at night.
Gives people a reason to stay awake in in the Midwest. No, I mean like Christmas is always fun. Like we always just put the games on like in the background, honestly.
Mhm.
I don't even care if it's a team that I'm like particularly interested in. Like
Yeah.
might not
Oh
be a
yeah.
match I actually care that
I'll
much
watch all
about.
5 of them. I don't give a
For
shit.
sure. It's just like background noise while we're doing stuff. And like this year I'm actually like we're staying home for Christmas. Like last year
Yeah.
we were at someone else's house, so it was like trying to watch the games kind of sucked. But now we're back like at my family's house. So I'm like, woo, games are gonna be on all day, suckers.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The only rule is like, hey, we're not opening the gifts during the Knicks game. I gotta be watching. I
fair.
gotta be paying some attention at least.
My parents are the ones who are up like incredibly early these days, so we open gifts like really early now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Instead of being kids, like waking everybody up, it's actually my parents who are awake freaking early in the morning now. So yeah. Usually we're like open. I mean, because it's the first game for you is like I guess it's noon Eastern, so
Noon, yeah.
it's 10 a.m. here. We're usually done well by like 9 a.m. on the gift
Hey man,
opening.
when I was in Hawaii, it was 6 a.m. 6 a.m. first game and brutal.
Yeah, that's
I
tough.
used to work nights. There'd be times the last game would be over before I go to work. Not after, before I go to work, the last game would be done.
Yeah, that's brutal. But there's some good matchups and like all the teams. The one matchup that's really interesting to me is actually like the Mavericks Warriors in part because I just don't think that that went exactly how the NBA schedulers thought it was going to go when they
It
put
did
this
not.
game on the schedule. Yeah, I think they were expecting a little bit more intrigue. Instead, here we are.
Yeah, I think they expected at least 30% more Anthony Davis, and they definitely expected the Warriors to be somewhere in the outer circle of contenders based on the way they ended last regular season after they got Jimmy.
Yeah.
They're 12-12, and players are openly complaining about how they're playing.
Yeah, the Warriors got off to a pretty hot start and then they've kind of crumbled since then. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
not really surprised. I cannot say I'm surprised, but
the only good Warriors clips I've seen lately have been from that dude who used to play lacrosse. Like that's pretty much Spencer. I guess like
the
the only
Spencer Post
positive
or
news
whatever.
I've seen out of Warriors
Yeah.
land. What's up?
Mm. Yeah, Spencer, like
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Him. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they I can't say I'm surprised though. I kind of when I think about the Warriors, I just think of like that sort of mediocre middle kind of team that just I'm like, yeah, they've got talent. It's Steph Curry, he's still amazing. But like everything else on that team is just like it's uninspiring. Jimmy Butler is still Jimmy Butler, but again, health, they're so old. It's that other kind of thing where they're old. And getting through a season, it's a long season. And that's hard when your team is ancient. And yeah, Steph Curry
Yeah.
can bail you out with 50, but you cannot be putting that on him every night. He is not the same guy anymore. So
Man,
I'm not surprised the
he's
Warriors.
still averaging 28. He's still shooting 12 threes a game.
I know. It's crazy. You know, like I won't believe he's done till I, see the body kind of situation, but at the same time, they just can't be putting that much on him and expecting to win big. And so I don't know. I just don't have a lot of optimism for teams like the Warriors or even like the Lakers I'm feeling a little better about now, but even then, like to be perfectly honest, I don't have a lot of faith in them outside of Luca, LeBron, and Austin Reeves. And even LeBron is not the same player anymore. And some of that is because he is openly deferring to Luca and Austin. But I don't really trust that supporting cast. Like I don't trust DeAndre Ayton. I don't
I mean,
trust.
Bron's only averaging 14 points, man. Like
Sorry?
this might be Bron's only averaging 14 points. This might be. I mean, it's only been 6 games, but there's a real
Yeah.
possibility that speaking of end of an era with Chris Paul, this might be the last. We might have seen the last of All Star LeBron. You know what I mean? Like, unless he
Yeah.
gets in just off fan voting, like we may have seen the last real All Star appearance for LeBron James. Like I mean, he's averaging 1.4 per game fewer than Ayton. So like, whether you want to call him the third or the fourth option is whatever. But like, he's at best and I should say at most, not at best, at most the third option on this team as far as scoring goes.
Yeah.
Because Reeves is averaging almost 30. God, man.
Reeves is on a heater.
He's shooting 52%. Like he's really
the
open.
Lakers. The fact the Lakers got to keep him in the Luka trade is truly criminal.
It's
like it just the season that Austin Reeves is having is completely reinforcing how badly the Mavericks got fleeced and how much Nico Harrison deserves the firing he got, because how could you? It is like that. Like call the FBI. Like they're seriously like fraud. Something happened here, because there's no way a crime was committed. There's no way that Austin Reeves should still be a fucking Laker with Luka.
They're this close to having two white dudes averaging 30 points a game, man. This is a
hate crime.
In LA. This is
a hate crime.
This is burden hell.
Like, what the fuck? Rob Pelinka? Like, who did you sell your soul to, sir? Like, and the fact that LeBron is, averaging 10, 14, like 14 points a game is kind of wild. But I mean, like, he's open. You can definitely tell he's kind of deferring. But it's also nice to know that, like, he's going to have gas in the tank when you need Braun to pull out some, like, Braun shit. Because he can still do it.
Yeah.
Right? And although he's dealing with the most old man injuries ever, which is kind of funny.
Sciatica.
And he has another, like, heel thing or shin thing on his other. Yeah, something. So it's just the most old man injuries ever. But it is pretty crazy to see. Honestly, it's been interesting to see how the Lakers kind of made that calculation that they're like, you know what? I don't think LeBron has much more left in the tank.
Yeah.
Like, he's still amazing, but Father Time wins every battle at the end of the day. It's never late, never late, just early. So I think they were smart. They saw something, obviously, and pissed off LeBron, but hey.
I think one of the interesting things about this Lakers team is so DeAndre Ayton was really good for a bit when Chris Paul was just like feeding him open buckets, because he has really nice touch. He's just not really the most aggressive or assertive. That man shooting 70% from the field, and like not on some like 10 points a game. He's averaging like 15, right? And I'm looking at the Lakers stats, and it's like they almost have 3 guys on 7 assists a game or more.
Yeah.
Like LeBron, Reeves, and Doncic, those are 3 guys who can be your lead playmaker, and they're all on the same team. Like they can play some real pretty basketball at times. Now they're maybe even more top heavy than they were before. But when Rob Pelinka manages to trade like Laravia and Rui Hachimura, Marcus Smart, and 8 second-round picks for Giannis, man, it's gonna be over for the rest of the league.
Fuck. Honestly, like that's actually probably the worst thing that happened to the league was like the Lakers getting Luka, because it means that now all the improbable bullshit that Lakers fans put on Twitter is actually probable.
It's like karma for when they tried to trade for Chris Paul and the league shot it down.
Rude.
They were like, you traded for the fat Gasol, and of course he wound up being an all-star. You know what I mean?
Literally.
He wound up being Defensive Player of the Year in the future. But at that time, they were like, come on, man, that's not even the right Gasol. Like,
the wrong fucking Gasol. Oh my god. Goddamn Lakers exceptionalism.
David Stern would have been furious.
He's rolling in his grave. Rolling in his grave.
He's looking up at us in disgust right now.
Oh my god. I don't know, I miss David Stern sometimes.
Yeah, he was a character.
Is the least charismatic human being. He looks like Skeletor.
Yeah, in the way that like every new sports franchise logo looks like an insurance company logo, he feels like a sentient insurance company. You know what I mean? Like he just feels like a corporation like made human flesh.
Yeah, he looks like he's, like a bunch of corporations in a trench coat trying to act like a human.
Yeah, it's the old joke about Canada's economy. Is it 3 banks and 2 grocery stores in a trench coat? Yeah.
3 banks, 2 grocery stores, and 2 telecom companies.
Right. There we go.
Sorry, 3 telecom companies in a trench coat. Exactly. That's Adam Silver. He's just a bunch of sports betting. He's a bunch of sports betting companies in a trench coat.
FanDuel and Bet365 did the fusion dance and turned into Adam Silver.
Yeah, literally.
That's crazy.
Don't forget DraftKings.
Yeah, that's the big one.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Adam is just, like, I don't think he's a terrible commissioner, but I don't think he's a good one. But I just, listening to him talk, I'm like, oh my god. Like you just have no juice, nothing, just no
Give us
flavor.
one opinion, man. Give us a feeling
Seriously.
about something. Like you
Yeah,
don't have to
right? Like
couch
at least
everything in like
like
all these like different bits of like
yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and say that I agreed with everything David Stern ever did because obviously that's not
yeah,
true. So when I say I miss him, it's more because I'm like I just miss somebody who had an opinion. You just knew where
yeah,
he stood. Like you may not agree with it and you hate him for it or whatever, but at least he had like
yeah.
it's like the line in like the Big Lebowski when Walter's like, say what you will about National Socialists, at least it's an ethos. Like
Right.
it's better than nihilism. It's better than
Yeah,
just
yeah.
nothingness. Like
Silver just don't want anybody to be mad at him. You know what I mean?
Silver
Like
just seems
it's
like a
like
void. He's just a void. Like for these, I don't know. He's just a void. Ugh, he's a Dementor from Harry Potter, just floating around. I don't know. It's weird. I don't like him. He's better than Kathy, I guess. But
Kathy, man. Speaking of Kathy,
speaking of Kathy, I mean,
WNBA new offer to the Players Association.
yeah,
A little bit of change to the revenue sharing structure, but also they were like, "Hey, man, no housing."
yeah, that was a weird one. That one kind of to me like that kind of came out of nowhere. Like I get it, but they were almost like it kind of gave the vibe of like you really want the revenue sharing? Okay, fine, we'll give it to you, but you're gonna regret it. We're gonna make you pay. They're like, oh, fine, fine. You want to die on this hill? Fine, we'll take this away. And it's like, what? No one asked for this.
Yeah, it's weird because like they raised the max salary and they've been trying to really push that bit, right? Like max
Yeah,
salary of 1.2 million with a guaranteed 1 million base with projected revenue sharing that could push those earnings to 1.2. But like the no housing thing, remember the minimum salary is still not that high. Like it'll be
no,
225K. If you live in San Francisco, I know this sounds crazy, especially to someone making a lot less than that, and from someone making a lot less than that. 25,000 as a public figure in San Francisco, who probably needs to live somewhere with, at the very least, private insurance and shit, right? Because you're a public figure who's on TV every day. It's not going as far as maybe
well,
you would
and
think
the
it
other thing
would.
too is that you're only paid for the games you play.
Right.
So if you get cut, you have only been paid for the game. You only get a game check per game per day. It's not like you're being paid, here's $225,000 for the year. So if you play, 10 games, you get however much money that is per game, right? So yeah, like the maximum salary is all fine and dandy, but there's a lot of other things that definitely, it's a, yeah, like I mean, they get paid a lot of money for a short amount of work, but at the same time, I don't know, I always maintain that like as fans, we are the ones who drive this, we're the reason the money is what it is. And so at the end of the day, like we can't complain that loudly. And like if we want to see the WNBA in marquee markets, I think it's important for things like housing and whatever, especially I mean a city like Toronto, right? Like gonna have a struggle being in an expansion city that's expensive, first of all, and
Yep.
second, like out of the country. Like that does pose challenges. Fewer, I think, in women's basketball to some extent than it probably did in men's basketball to start. In terms of just people having passports, because women's players have to go overseas a lot
Well,
more often.
taxation for pro
But
athletes is very complicated because you're doing your
yeah,
labor in potentially like 10 plus states over the course of 5 months or whatever. But
yeah,
yeah, it's a pain in the ass. And the league also was like, hey, we want to start this season earlier. We want you guys in camp in March. And for the players who play elsewhere during the off season to make a little extra, that's going to be a little tough because
well,
they're going to have to miss the playoffs or whatever to not get penalized with the WNBA.
it's also extremely disadvantageous to the
College
rookies coming
players.
into the league because you are basically completely narrowing the gap between when their college season ends and when your pro season starts. And if you want rookies to be successful in the league, like that's already a problem. The fact that there's very little time between seasons and that
Yeah,
these rookies basically get no break. Like
yeah,
you see so much more success. I mean, like the rookie, it's like a mixed bag, I guess, because a lot of rookies do well because they're in a rhythm from continuing to play. But in some cases, like the second season, when they have a full off season to like be healthy and like whatever, it's crazy how much they develop over, like an off season. And so like the fact that you're not giving these players any time before entering your league is like setting them up to fail as well. And it feels like it feels like the league is like, okay, fine, we'll give you some revenue sharing, but and the worst part is that they didn't even give them the full amount of revenue sharing. The proposal was like 14% or some shit. It was like a joke. Plus, then to offer them that, they took away a bunch of other stuff. So
Yeah, the gap between the end of like if you're on a team that goes deep in the tournament, you're already talking about mid late March end of season, and then early April you're playing in a whole other league, in a more difficult league that plays more games than the college schedule. And so like it's one of the shortest off seasons in professional sports. It's even worse than the fucking soccer off seasons in Europe where
yeah,
they go from fucking
it's
season
like 3 weeks.
in May and they start back up like a month and a half later. It's basically no off season, and for them to basically cut it down from that to like potentially like a few days is pretty nuts. And so if the schedules aren't going to be aligned, if you're not going to have college and pro at the same time, like these players are going to be. I mean, we've seen all the overuse injuries in sports lately. It's not a great
It
setup for the
just
players.
feels like the WNBA is trying to dig in. I don't know how to describe it, but like it just feels like they're not learning the lesson they need to be learning. And I understand that you have to negotiate on your own behalf and what's best for you in your entity and whatever. So like I don't blame them for it. And I'm not expecting them to just bend over and give the players everything because you just can't, right? That's the point of collective bargaining. But it just feels like I don't know. It's like we'll pick up the ball and go home kind of mentality.
Yeah.
It just feels very stubborn and very conservative and very like outdated, for lack of a better way to put it. Like it almost feels like they just don't want this. They don't want success if it means that they have to compromise on the things that they like. I don't know.
It
I,
feels like a little bit like anti-competitive. Like they want to, by having the season start earlier and demanding they be in training camp by a certain time. I think they want to take some of the wind out of the sails of some of these alternate leagues, like on Rival, Athletes Unlimited, Project B, that more and more WNBA players and more big names have signed on to. I think they want those to be second rate competitions to the extent that they can, so that all eyes can always be on the WNBA.
you
And
know,
they're thinking, well, if they're gonna have to miss the playoffs in these other leagues, then maybe they won't even go in the first place.
yeah, you know what it feels like? Yes, exactly like that. It feels like the WNBA is like, hey, we were the flagship for women's basketball for this long when none of y'all paid attention. Now that you're all paying attention, we want you to finally reward us for keeping you all in business and
Yeah.
keeping you all employed for this long. It's almost like an entitlement. Like we're
Well, it
entitled to this kind of easy CBA negotiation. We're entitled to the control we exert over our players because we were like the only game in town. And now, oh, now you have options. That's cool. Well, we've been the OG and we're still the biggest league. And, that it feels like that a little bit.
Well, it's like the way that oligopolies and monopolies move, where it's like instead
Yeah.
of open competition, where it's like okay, the eyeballs going to go to the best league or whatever, and they're going to be an alternative. We're going to be an alternative. Blah 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 blah. It's like hey, we're going to try to cut into the appeal of your business rather than necessarily boosting our own. We're going to try to cut into yours
Yeah.
as a way of winning the competition.
It's like in Parks and Rec when Saperstein starts Tommy's Closet to try and like compete with Rent-A-Swag and eventually is like he spends more time just imitating Rent-A-Swag than actually having his own business.
Yeah, it's very instead of making our business better, we're trying to make yours shittier
Exactly. Yeah.
as a way. That's how we plan on winning.
Yeah, yeah. We're not
Yeah.
happy till you're not happy kind of
Right.
strategy.
Right.
Yeah. No, 100%. That's totally how it feels. It's like, I don't know. It just feels extremely disrespectful to the players. It's like it feels very paternalistic. Like you don't know what you really want. It's like the league is trying to tell the players that they don't really know what they really want. And it's like, yeah, you can look elsewhere and go to all these leagues, but are you really going to leave? Like, really? It's like almost like an abusive partner who just like won't, is like sort of challenging, like, oh, go ahead, leave, I dare you. And it's really just, and players are calling their bluff with going to things like Project B, but it's up to those leagues to also then be successful at the end of the day.
Hmm.
The W has a lot going for it, which is sort of the problem, is that they also have a lot of leverage. they have a brand people recognize. And while the players can argue till they're blue in the face that they're the reason for that brand being recognizable, the brand is still the brand, I guess, you know? So I don't know. It's a messy situation. And it sucks because it's really putting the expansion draft in flux now, which kills a lot of momentum for the league because, I mean, there's pretty much no way that there's a non-delayed free agency at this point, which, as we've talked about in previous episodes, it's a big free agency because 80% of the league is a free agent.
And because nobody even knows how the fucking salary structure is going to work, or what the cap is,
Yeah.
or how much players can get paid.
Things like, but like Markey, we've learned from like, and I mean, this is part of the NBA's problem almost, they lean too heavy into it, but things like free agency and trade deadlines and expansion drafts and player movement creates intrigue. And the league should be like, the league should have had this CBA fucking locked and loaded and be like pumping out free agency content, like, you know, beating that horse till it's dead. And capitalizing on the fact that one of the largest player movements in situations is about to happen, in history is about to happen. The fact that 80% of your league is a free agent in a league that's not meant to have that many free agents. It's not like something like the CEBL that's a small league, you're only signing 1-year contracts. This is a league that's, you know, meant, it's like a more of like a legacy kind of situation like the NBA or the NHL where you have those franchise cornerstone players. So, like, the league is missing out on the fact that they can't be just fucking drowning us in content about the expansion draft and free agency and all this shit. Instead,
there should be so many bad player photoshops and different teams' jerseys.
So much, but instead we're still fucking sitting here talking about whether or not there's gonna be a CBA or a season because they can't, like, and I'm not, again, I don't know, like, I don't want to, I'm not defending the owners, but I'm also not defending, I mean, the players can't give them everything they want. I think they deserve everything that they want, but they're not going to get everything they want. So it's like unrealistic to expect that. But at the same time, the league is just being petulant at this point. It's like, just fucking give it up, man. Like, it's okay. You can give up a little bit of your control to make people happy and you're all going to thrive. I promise. And the thing is that if you do it in good faith in this CBA, a really like big make or break CBA for the league, it sets you up for the next one because if it fails, you have all the leverage as the league to be like, hey, we did it your way. It went fucking terribly. So we're back, you know, or it goes great and you get to be like, awesome. We listened. We're making some money. How can we make more money for each other? You know, like how can we do better? And so like either way, you know, you got to be successful here and like just go with it. WNBA because they have a credibility issue. They've had a credibility issue forever. And by, I think, being maybe like a little more conciliatory in this negotiation, they would still come out as winners in a much better way. And it would help them, even if things go poorly and like, you know, I don't know. It's frustrating as hell. Especially as a fan of one of said expansion teams who would really just like to think about who the team is going to be and not whether or not they will even have a season.
Wait, I haven't even asked you this. And I don't know how I haven't asked you this. Because there's going to be a team in Canada now, does this mean you're not going to be a Sky person anymore? Or are you going to be a Toronto Tempo?
I'm still going to be a Sky person, but for sure, like, I would be lying if I said I wasn't going to just, like, cheer for the Tempo also. Because it's, like, hard, it's weird, because, like, I just chose the Sky arbitrarily, essentially, to be my team. And so as much as I've been to see them play and I have jerseys and I love their team and whatever, and I'm a fan, like, it's not my city. Like, I don't live in Chicago. I'm not from Chicago. I have zero connection to Chicago except the Sky, honestly, and the people I've then met from Sky Twitter as a result. But I have no actual connection to Chicago whatsoever. So as much as I consider myself a fan, there's still always, like, a dissonance that, like, I immediately don't feel with the Tempo. And
I gotta say,
it's like a natural fit.
I chose the Sky arbitrarily. Sounds like the beginning of a really nice poem, you know? Like, about a bird or something like that.
Some bars that never really got written, yeah. But no, it's true. Like, it's kind of weird. Because, like, it's like, I think we all want to be contrarian and be like, oh, I'm not going to cheer for Canada's team. Like, I don't have to. It's like, every time the worst people you'll ever see on Twitter are people with Canadian flags in their names who cheer for the Cavaliers. Worst people on Twitter. Canadian Cavs fans, worst people on Twitter. Like, absolutely.
Honestly, it's interesting to hear that y'all also know the worst person because like I see the U.S. flag in somebody's Twitter handle, and I'm like,
Yeah, no. It's not a good sign, usually.
uh, we could have guessed where you were from just from the spellings, dog. Like you're doing something else with that flag.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel that way about Canadian flag Twitter handles, but in particular when they're Cavaliers fans. They're just the worst type of people. I don't know what it is. But
Oh, they were like dancing through their own city, taunting like the Raptors fans when
yeah,
the
Lebronto and stuff.
Brano era was happening.
Yeah, 100%. They're the biggest gloating little shits. But anyways,
Something
it's
tells me
weird
they
because like
didn't stay
I
Cavs
understand like
fans.
Torontonians low-key hate that the Toronto teams are deep by default Canada's teams.
Hmm.
And to that I say like suck it up. You're just the biggest city. That's the only reason you have the team. You're not special inherently. Like that's the only reason you have the teams is because you're the largest city, not because you're inherently special. That's it.
As a Toronto resident, I'm like, what are these other cities doing being so damn small? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Like you just happen to be geographically blessed.
get
So
more
like,
people. You know what I mean? Like, invite your
yeah.
friends. What are you doing?
You're more geographically blessed, Toronto. Like, suck it up that the rest of us are also going to attach ourselves to your team. Because at the same time, the fact that the rest of the country watches the team is also why those teams are so successful financially. Because our TV ratings and all that shit, like, doesn't count in the US. So, like, the Raptors and, like, the Blue Jays, like, all these teams make so much money on being Canada's team. So it's like, you wouldn't exist anymore if you weren't. So, obviously, the NHL is a much different situation, but in leagues where we're the like Toronto's the only team. So yeah, I don't know. It's just like really funny to me. I get it a little bit though, where I'm like I'm sure it's a bit annoying, but like
Yeah.
oh well, deal with it. Seems like it could be the least annoying thing that could be happening to worry about. But yeah, to answer your question, I guess I'm probably still going to cheer for the Tempo no matter what. Like
Yeah.
I automatically feel an attachment to them that doesn't exist with the other teams because now we have one. And even if they're not my number one team, for instance, like I'm still always going to have a soft spot for them.
My big question coming into the expansion draft is how many Canadian players do they pursue for marketing purposes? Not saying that these players aren't going to be good,
Yeah.
but like because the Raptors did this for a minute, like in the rebuild stretch. For a minute, they were like, "Hey, if anybody has a personal connection to Canada, anyone's from the area, we're gonna grab them real quick." They kind of reversed a little bit. They're
Yeah.
not super Canadian heavy now, but for a minute, they were like, we're only gonna win 25 this year. Let's grab all the Canadians. I wonder
Yeah.
if the Tempo are gonna be like, "Hey, let's get some local pride up.
You know
Let's
who
grab some Canadian players."
I'm genuinely curious. I think a player that I think like Kia Nurse, I think is a shoe in to come home.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think
It
that
sucks that Sarah's not here anymore, though. Like,
yeah.
Sarah Nurse she was in the Toronto Centers. Now
Yeah.
she's
No,
in
I know, yeah.
Vancouver.
Sorry, she's
Yeah,
in Vancouver now.
yeah.
Yeah. The one Vancouver team that doesn't disappoint me yet. Yet. There's still hope. There's still time to let me down. Anyways, I don't know how I chose Vancouver sports fandom. Never lived in Vancouver in my life. But anyways, yeah, so the tempo, I suspect that players like who I'm really curious about what happens is like whether or not they target players like Toby Fournier and Silas Swords in upcoming drafts.
Yeah.
I'm also super genuinely curious to see if a player like Aaliyah Edwards is available in the expansion draft because if she's available, I would be shocked if they don't jump on her. And I
Yeah.
don't even think that one's entirely just because she's Canadian, but she's actually like the kind of player that a young team could easily like that kind of just pillar kind of player that you need. The Mystics, the only reason I don't think she became that player for the Mystics is just because Kiki worked out
Right.
significantly better than anyone
She's
expected.
awesome.
Yeah,
Hey,
like it was
Swords. Everyone should be trying to get her.
Swords is so good. Silas Swords is so good.
Swords merch would go crazy too.
I mean, it's sick. It's like the sickest last name ever.
Silas Sword. The first last combo is
Yeah.
like
No.
that's an action movie character. Like that is a
Well, and
top
what's sick is
five
that
sports name.
her name is like cool as hell, but her game actually fits like the
Yeah,
coolness of her
yeah.
name.
Her
Yeah,
actually being really good makes
yeah,
it that much better because you don't
yeah.
have to be like,
She's
I'm getting a Silas Sword just because of the name. I'm going to make a custom one. Like, no, it'll be on sale because she's that nice. It
she's
will
fucking
be
sick.
in the
Yeah.
store. Yeah,
And I like that she went to a program. It's too bad in some ways that she went to a program like Michigan where she doesn't get the same kind of like eyes on her that she would in a bigger program. But at the same time, I actually low-key really like Michigan's coach and just like the program there is kind of fun.
mm.
And she's been undeniably so good and has benefited from, much like Aaliyah Edwards did, benefited from that national team experience and
Yeah.
just having like almost like Canadian basketball. It's like other international players too. It feels like they have to grow up so much faster in some ways because like
Yeah.
you get to be on your senior team so much younger than yeah. So I'm curious to see if Connecticut makes her available or like leaves her open. I don't think they will. I would be kind of surprised if they did.
Yeah.
But maybe. I mean, she does overlap with Anissa Morrow a little bit, so perhaps. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they'd certainly target some Canadian players, but it just depends on, I don't know, I guess it depends on who else is willing to come. Because if we're willing to get just like another really big marketable star who's not Canadian, but it doesn't matter because it's like,
Yeah.
a big name, then
Yeah.
meh.
Actually, one good thing for Sila, playing in Michigan, Ann Arbor, not too far from Detroit, a lot of Canadians can come over and watch her play on just a regular day without having to make it a whole trip. Like
Which
you
is
can pop over
partially,
from
yeah.
Windsor in like an hour.
I'm not surprised. I actually wouldn't be surprised if she chose Michigan in part because of proximity to like family and like things like that too.
Yeah.
I know she went to high school in the US and like her family like kind of moved as a result of her basketball career, but Duke has not been very good on the women's basketball side this year. So I don't know how Toby Fournier specifically is doing, but she's another player that there's a lot of really young Canadians in the college system right now that are like the future of Team Canada. Like Avery Howell at USC.
Yeah.
Shit, there's another player at Michigan. I think he's playing with Sila, who's Canadian. Or no, North
Yep,
Carolina.
there is.
Yeah, another one at Michigan too, and then one at North Carolina. The one in North Carolina, I think, grew up in the U.S., sort of like Avery Howell, but her mom or her dad's Canadian, so whatever, we'll take it. I don't give a shit. I am
I
not
will
here
be
to do it.
pitching U.S. citizenship to Sila Swords. It might be a tough pitch right now. I'll have to hope she has terrible politics. We'll see.
I was gonna say it's tough because she's already played for the senior women's national team in
I'll
Canada,
have
so
to hope she's a bad person.
I actually don't think she's genuinely like eligible to ever play for Team USA now because she's played for the senior women's national team.
We can make it work.
Karl Anthony Towns is legally not allowed to ever play for Team USA now, so
I think it's fucking cool that he plays for the DR. I think it's
no,
really
it
fucking
is.
cool.
But I
And that
didn't
is a
realize
dude who like he
I
really loves his mom and like really like lives
yeah.
to honor her. Even before like her untimely demise, like before that, he was very like, that's why he plays for the DR, right? Like I think it's really fucking cool that he does that.
Well, but he also, I didn't realize this, but John Calipari coached the team when he started playing for the national team in DR.
That's pretty dope.
I did not know that
Shout out
John,
to Calipari, man.
I didn't know Calipari was, because on the World
Honorary
Post
Dominican.
podcast, last week, I think, whatever, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever, the later week podcast with Moda Keel, they were sort of figuring out roughly the sort of, because the new All-Star format is World versus
Yeah.
USA. And they were trying to decide kind of like where Karl Anthony Towns would fit if they'd consider him an American player or world player. And I can't remember where they put him, but I didn't really realize that Calipari was the coach of DR when Cat started playing for the Dominican Republic. So that's really cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I actually, you know what? Like, I kind of like
I kind of
Calipari.
fuck with him.
He's kind of cool. Like, I think he's like the classic college coach who, like, I mean, obviously, because he's been like not crusty about the NIL situation,
Yeah.
unlike some of these like older school coaches.
Yeah.
He seems like he actually cares about his players in a way that you don't get out of every.
Yeah. I wasn't surprised by him not being crusty about NIL because I remember in like the explosion of the one and done era, he was one of the few college coaches who was openly like, "Hey, I'm telling players, come here, I'm gonna get you to the pros next year. We're gonna try to win games here, obviously, but like I'm trying to get you paid. Like that's
Yeah.
what I want. You're coming from this environment, that environment. I want to get you paid." And like he was open about that shit, and like
Yeah.
I appreciated that openness. Like there was no sliminess about it. Like he was like, "This is what
Yeah.
we're doing."
He's not trying to couch it in like, oh, you gotta, like it's about your education and your future when like
Yeah.
everybody knows that we're all
Yeah.
here because of the basketball.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we're all
You're here
everyone.
to
You
hoop.
know that I know that you know that we're all
Yep.
just here to play basketball.
I
Yeah,
will make you a first round pick. You will get paid. Like
yeah,
that's why you're here. That's why I'm here. I'm here to help you achieve
yeah.
your dream. I appreciated that about him. And speaking of Calipari, he popped up in the news cycle a little bit. They're talking. He's the coach of Arkansas now, which is the weird
Yeah.
spot for him to wind up. But he was talking
Yeah,
about
that was weird.
NIL and like G leaguers and international players coming over. And he was saying like, man, you see a guy wave in the crowd, and he's got 2 kids.
Yeah, it's kind of like an alimony or whatever.
He's the quote of the week. He said, "Crazy thing. He's using NIL for his first wife's alimony, and he's still playing college basketball. Are we nuts?" One of the
What a
great
bar.
quotes of the modern era of college basketball. And it's been interesting because we've seen not
Yeah.
only more and more international players coming over to college basketball now that there's above the table money in it, but we've seen G leaguers
Yeah.
like
Come back.
because we've seen the college basketball system get a little bit closer to European sports where you have guys who are like, they kind of play on the youth team, they kind of play on the senior team, you know,
They're
10 minutes a
fundamentally
game with
pros because the
adults.
European system works that way, but they're still children. Like they're under 21. So like,
Right, you'll be like
yeah.
18, but like you'll play 10 games with the senior team with a bunch of 30-year-olds, and you'll play 8 games with the youth team, you'll play on your youth national team, whatever, whatever. But like we're seeing a little bit more of that creep into like, you know, there's some allowances for letting European players come over and play college ball, and it wasn't that attractive a proposition for them for a long time because you're getting paid over there. But now that you're getting paid and you're getting paid way more, you're starting to see guys come over with limited professional experience. You know, maybe 20 games with the senior team,
Yeah, like
blah blah blah.
previously you'd see players like Jokic's brother who like probably could have played pro in Serbia, but like coming to college is maybe a bit more worth it because maybe
Yeah.
at the very least you get to go to America and get some experience in that sense, like
Mm.
whatever. And then you'll still probably have a pro contract back home waiting for you if you want it. Whereas now you're starting to see more premier talent
Yeah.
kind of come
Now
over.
it's like I could play 8 minutes a game for Fenerbahce as a 19-year-old, and yeah, maybe I'll be a star there when I'm 23, or I could go to fucking St. John's or Florida, you know, and get 30 minutes a game there and get paid $500,000.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Instead of whatever minimum level salary that I'd be getting as a quasi youth, quasi, you know, senior player over there. But
Yeah.
now we're seeing that shift not just being allowed for players from foreign countries, but also from American players. So you've
Yeah,
seen
which is
dudes who've
crazy.
been 2, 3 seasons in the G League playing against two-way NBA guys, getting professional coaching, being full-time basketball players, head back into the G League now. And so there are guys who were, you know, 22, 23, and they're coming from the G League, which is probably, talent-wise, one of the 4 or 5 best basketball leagues in the world, if I'm being honest. Like, as somebody
Yeah.
who covers the G League,
It's very good.
and they're getting to go back and play college against, you know, 18, 19-year-olds, and it's tough if you're a high school recruit
Yeah.
who, like, you know, how do you fight for playing time against an experienced pro?
Yeah. The waters are just really muddied now. Like, I mean, I still think that players should get paid for their, output, whatever. It's just like the situation's just so crazy now because it's like college is college was always the feeder system. It was always the default like minor kind of league that you get drafted out of to get into the NBA. Whereas now or from Europe, I guess if you're taking over like European players, but in the past for European players, the best path to coming to the United States was actually still playing through like the European developmental system, right? And playing for your national team and getting scouted that way. Generally speaking, is kind of how it's always worked, I think. Like traditionally at least. But now to your point, exactly like they're coming over here because there's more of an advantage to going to college because there's money, first of all. And like,
Mm,
even if your outcome remains the same, you play for Fener or fucking Barcelona, whatever, some EuroLeague team, and you're getting paid like the same contract you were going to get paid even if you went through that system. At least you made more money
mm-hmm,
in an American college and you had like a bit more eyes on you. It's like you know, maybe you had more opportunity to talk to NBA scouts or college coaches like Calipari, whoever, who are like, who have those connections that are like, have been in that pipeline. So it's just like, I don't know, it's kind of weird, but it's also very muddied the waters. It's like, it's an admission of the professionality of college basketball without being an admission of the professionality of college basketball. And it's almost like these European players coming over is just further like it's just like, yeah, it's making that argument more valid. We've always known college athletes were essentially pros. Now this just confirms it. And it's a very strange, uncomfortable feeling to sit with.
yeah, if you told me I had a choice between getting paid 60K to play in the G League in like tough travel, you know, tough competition, super demanding leagues, super high pressure or whatever, in front of like a couple hundred people, maybe a couple thousand people a night, or I could go to Europe, get paid, $100,000 to kind of be in between the youth and senior team for Barcelona and get fried by a legend out there by like Sergio Yul or something,
Yeah.
3 times a
Well,
week.
even
Or
like
I could go to college, get paid
yeah.
500K and bust some future accountant's ass.
Yeah.
Which one do you think I'm gonna pick?
Well, yeah, because
I'm gonna
you're
go to small town America and I'm gonna bust some ass.
especially because if your goal is to make the pros, like you want to have the best film out there. And yeah, I mean, I get it. I have such
I'm
mixed,
dunking on a used car salesman tomorrow. Like that is
yeah.
what I'm choosing.
I have very strange like feelings about all of it too because I'm like I support players getting paid for their labor at the end of the day. But and I think that NIL is going to be blamed for a lot of this, rightfully or unrightfully so. I just think the whole college sports infrastructure in the United States is really fucked up, like as a whole. It's something I've been trying to sit with for like a really long time. Because, like, I don't know, I've known youth sports athletes and, like, one of my really good friends, for instance, and, like, she's a track athlete, which is different. Obviously, it's not like a sport like basketball or wherever where you stand to make millions. But even in the United States, being an NCAA track athlete is definitely more glamorous than, like, say youth sports. But, like, and she was very, very good. Like, she consistently, like, was one of the best in Canada at what she did. She did pole vault and triple jump and
Yeah.
was an exceptional athlete, but she was also, like, going to school to be a med student. Like she wanted to be a
Yeah.
doctor. And it's like youth sports has its very long list of problems. I think all collegiate sports do, but I think that like it actually is closer to the term of like, student athlete. Because like when you talk about youth sports athletes, they all talk about the fact that they play on the team, but then they talk about what their academic major is.
Right.
Like for instance, like I went to the University of Saskatchewan. The University of Saskatchewan women's basketball team is very, very good. We were national champions last year, have a very good chance to repeat. We have the best point guard in the country, Gage Grassick. She's fabulous. I also know that she's a pharmacy major. Like,
Yeah.
And I know what program she's in because that's like
It
the
was like
important.
that in U.S. college
Yeah,
sports.
and it
Like
used
when
to
I
be.
was when
No,
I was
it
in
used to
college,
be
like they would
100%.
say that shit on the jumbotron.
Right? Like 100%.
Yeah.
I don't deny that. Like I
Yeah.
know that the NCAA, but like obviously money and just the nature of being like basically I mean the scale is larger, right? I mean people watch college basketball and football like it is the pros. It has, high school athletes in the United States play in stadiums that are nicer than professionals play in other countries. So like, but yeah, it used to be that way, but youth sports is closer to that. And so it's like I don't know. It's just, but then it's weird when you see these American programs, and it's like, I know all the athletes I knew growing up in college and whatever playing. It's like they got some scholarship subsidies and whatever, but they were doing it because they loved the sport and like potentially had aspirations to go to a national team or something if it was depending on the sport, obviously. But it's whereas like the NCAA is just like so not that. It's
Yeah.
essentially a pro league, but they're college
Yeah.
athletes. And so it's very strange and it's just like hard to sit with because there's a lot of mixed feelings about it where I'm like, if your output is on the level of a professional, you deserve to be paid like a professional. But at the same time, this is a university.
Yeah.
Like
It's weird
what?
because it is in all senses essentially a minor league for the pros in
Yeah.
every college sport. But at the same
Yes.
time, because they've been for 100+ years tied to universities, it would be really hard to decouple those things. And so
100%.
you have a minor league that also comes with obligations to go pursue higher education, which is such an odd situation. But like
Yeah.
it's different, like you said, from youth sports, right? Like youth sports is closer to like D2 college sports in the States.
Yeah.
I can't remember where exactly I read this quote. I'm mad that I can't remember it, but somebody was describing D2 football
Well, the
as
Simon
like
Braid.
no, it wasn't the Simon Fraser article. It was something else. But they're basically saying like in D2 they'll move practices to accommodate class schedules. In D1 they'll move class schedules to accommodate sports. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So like when I was doing my master's, the department head, he had taught at the University of North Carolina for like some time before coming back to Canada. And he said it was a very humbling experience to essentially be told that you have to accommodate UNC men's basketball.
Yeah. Yeah.
As an academic who, like you're teaching students and you're helping students graduate with degrees
Yeah.
and these credentials, and you're basically being told to adjust for
Yeah.
A basketball game is like kind of a fucked up experience as an academic. And he's like, it's a very weird experience teaching at a university with big programs, like big academic or athletic programs, compared to universities that have small athletic programs. But you've even seen this, I've read research about this regarding like high school sports in the United States. Like high schools that put an disproportionate like amount of focus on sports typically do have lesser academic, not always, but they typically like have like there's academic implications for that because athletes become the most important thing. Like you're producing athletes, you're not producing
Yeah,
students.
the prep
Which is like
schools,
interesting.
the
Yeah,
ones that there's like that small handful of schools where it's
exactly.
partly private school for like really, really rich kids and then partly just like athletic endeavor. And there's
Yeah.
like 500 students, but they're like nationally ranked in
Yeah.
like three sports every year. Those are really fucking weird. And it's like every, damn near every elite prospect from the U.S. and Canada goes to
Yeah.
one of those now,
100%.
which is weird. Like dudes
I
hooping
mean,
on their like high school teams and scoring like 70 points doesn't really happen so much anymore.
yeah,
It's like they play against a bunch of future pros and D1 guys, and like you'll see like, oh, this super elite 5-star high school recruit only averaged 20 points a game. You're like, how'd that happen? And you look at
right.
their team and it's like, oh, everyone else on their team is a 5-star. But like in the old days, like they might have played on their high school team and scored like fucking 40.
Well, because that's what was weird about Zion is that Zion did, right? Zion played in
Hmm.
this like small town South Carolina high school and was just
Yeah.
like murdering people on the field.
Man, I would have
And
hated
like
that shit after
the
geometry
Carolina
class. I would
Panthers
have
are
been
like, hey,
pissed.
so you want to come play football? Like, like, so it's kind of crazy, but, and I mean, it's again, like, that shit happens here with elite hockey. It just hasn't caught
Yeah.
up in other sports.
Yeah.
Hockey in particular, though, has that kind of culture. There's elite hockey
Yes.
schools and things like that here. So I'm not saying Canada's like better, because this is not what I'm trying to say.
Them hockey schools are nasty places to be. So,
Yeah. I'm
from
absolutely
what I've
not trying
heard,
to, yeah,
nasty places to be.
yeah, my dad went to one, and that school actually later, a coach got like the whole classic
Oh,
story. Yeah, yeah, shocking. But anyways, I'm not trying to make that point at all that Canada's better by any means because I think that sports in general, it's like anything else, right? It's just
yeah.
you figure out how to make money
You
on
just
it.
gotta find the right sport. You just gotta find the one they care about enough to go
As soon
so
as
they'll go
anybody
that
figures out how
crazy.
to make money on something, it becomes a
Yeah.
corrupt situation. I'm not trying to insinuate that like Canada's better here. That's not the argument. It was more just that like but college sports is a very uniquely North American concept
Yes.
because when I was in school in Finland, like I showed you pictures, my university had an American football team, which was genuinely hilarious to me.
I want to play for them.
But like collegiate athletics aren't a thing in Europe in general.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
club. It's a city club that you're like related to, and if you're a
Yeah.
university student at the same time, then good for you. But
Yeah.
it's not like college. Like athletics isn't done through your education isn't tied to your athletics. Is the other thing, right?
Yeah. I played European club sports. Like I know. Like
Yeah,
it's like it's like decoupled from like the pro system a little bit. Like if you're like a small
yeah.
enough city club, you're not really the pro pipeline is not there. You just
No, no, no.
like
Well, it's for
Australia's kind of the same way. Like they have
it's a
college
bit more.
sports, but it's like
Yeah,
club teams in the States. Your
yeah.
university might have a club team. They're not part of the NCAA system. It's like they have a
Yeah.
championship, but it's not. The
I
good
think
ones go to the institutes and the academies and shit.
yeah, for sure. But it's just I don't know, it's like really interesting and it sucks because I think it's obviously created issues of like, people feeling the only way they can go to college is because they're good at a sport or
Yeah.
something like that. But just the amount of money is like everything about college athletics in the United States is so uncomfortable to me. Like
Yeah.
just I don't know, deeply uncomfortable. Like the amount
Mm.
of just money and like obligation that's required. Because like I'm not going to sit here and say that like I mean, there's obviously tons of youth sport athletes that I honestly genuinely believe would succeed in bigger programs. Like I actually think if my friend had had the ability to go to an NCAA school, because I'm sure she got recruited,
Mhm.
she got recruited by a lot of places, but her parents weren't going to let her go to certain places, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
She wasn't allowed to like go very far from home, but she was a very good athlete. So I know she got
Yeah.
recruited because there was a few girls from my high school who got to go play NCAA volleyball, but their scholarships were only guaranteed for 2 years. And most of them were like, because you had to earn your second 2 years. And so they're like, well, I may as well just go home because like I'm not after their first 2 years, almost all of them came back to Canada because they were like, well, not exactly going pro and like,
Yeah. And
you
volleyball has
know,
less resources too. So
yeah, so it's just like it's weird that your education is entirely tied to whether or not you can play a sport, your athletic output. And yeah, I don't know. The college situation is very strange. So yeah, it's I feel bad for high school recruits and people entering the system who are still trying to use the system how it traditionally was used.
Yeah.
And now it's not because I guess rules haven't caught up with funding.
Yeah, we're seeing in college sports the rules are basically changing every year. Like the transfer portal window is getting moved again in
Yeah.
basketball and football. You're seeing some talk of like maybe having players putting a limit back on transfers to where you can transfer one time for free and you got to sit out a second time. Where it used to be before you had to sit out no matter what. Now you can do it unlimited free transfers. People talking about maybe 2-year contracts, so it's not as like
Yeah.
go the highest bidder every single fucking season and every roster is getting turned over 75% every year. I think there's still a lot of figuring out, and I think there's a lot of things that when the big change happened, that they hadn't really thought everything out and all the implications that well.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of dealing with the ramifications of that. We're like, every year we're getting a new system because nobody's really figured out what the optimal system is. And
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's a lot to keep track of. It's a lot for programs. It's a lot
I
for players. It's a lot for coaches.
yeah.
Everyone's kind of upset about it.
Yeah, no one's having a good time.
Yeah.
I just had a thought. Do you think American college sports is sort of the closest to something like, say, like the English Premiership or like those sort of like club fan owned sort of situations versus say like American pro sports? And like this is a really half baked thought, but like the fact that like people are so committed to because like college sports in so many ways are bigger than the pro sports in the United States because there's so many more of them.
6 of
Right.
the top 10 biggest stadiums in the world are American.
Right? Like you think about a program like Alabama football, for instance, the Crimson Tide. People in across the state are either Auburn or Alabama fans, but like whatever, say mostly Alabama fans. People who choose those universities and they cheer for those teams, despite the fact that like they probably never attended the university, or like if they did, they may not have played for the team. But like whether or not they attended the university is like neither here nor there. But a ton of people cheer for these teams having never attended that institution. It's just like basically the equivalent of your local team
I
because
think I think more
oh,
people attended them than people realize because a lot of these schools
no,
have
for sure,
enrollments of like 40, 50K,
absolutely.
and
To be
like
to be clear, I'm not trying to
that's
say
for yeah. There
I
may be
don't.
hundreds of thousands of people alive right
Yeah,
now. There may be
yeah,
600, 700,000 people alive right now who
yeah.
attended the University of Alabama.
Right? And I
Yeah.
think no, you're totally right. I wasn't trying to make like the implication people aren't like educated, but just like that was not it. It was more just like there are people who cheer for this team because it's like their family, like someone even if they didn't go to that
Yeah.
university, someone in their
Yeah.
family went to that university. And so like
100%.
that alumni connection like exists in a very strong way where it's almost the same thing with like English soccer where it's like, my grandfather cheered for this team or like blah blah blah, so I cheer for this
Yeah.
team. Like it's I feel like
There
the fandom is passed down, but part of why like it's so much more prolific than pro sports is that it just exists in so many more places.
yeah, there's
And there's
this
like a communal aspect to it.
there's this Instagram account and it's this British dude who's like obsessed with American sports. And he was kind of making this case recently. He was comparing American college sports fandom to like English like Premier League fandom, right?
Yeah.
And because like people talk all the time about how American pro sports and the environment and the stadiums and the fandom and the way that fans behave at games is so different from like soccer fans in Europe. You know what I mean? And he was saying, well, that what we have in England, that's what they have for college sports in America.
Yeah, it's
And a big part of it is a lot of these were like all these like college sports rivalries, they're like the English Premier League rivalries in that they've existed since the 1800s.
yeah.
And they've been so community based because there's so many more colleges that they're
Yeah.
localized in a way that pro sports aren't. Where there might be, between the beginning of like the NBA and like the end of it, like not the end, the current day, between like 10 and like 30 teams.
Well like
There's 300 fucking college, D1 college basketball
well
programs. There's
yeah.
136
So
FBS football schools.
like good example to I think that highlights
Yeah,
your point is like the constant talk about how, for instance, the WNBA is extremely under-indexed in the South.
yeah,
Atlanta Dream are the only team
yeah,
in the entire American South.
yeah,
Whereas like college basketball fans are very passionately across the South. South
Yeah.
Carolina obviously being the biggest program, but like
Yeah.
Florida, like all these programs have dedicated massive women's basketball programs
Hmm.
and fans. But like there's only one pro sports city for that sport, whereas there
Yeah.
are dozens of D1 and like small D1, D2 colleges that get tons of fans because it's like that's the game in town, you know, which I think exactly
If you're
highlights that
in
point.
Florida, you'll have like, let's say like for football, for example, you'll have
Yeah,
University of Florida, Florida State,
Florida
Miami,
Atlantic.
USF, UCF, Florida Atlantic. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
FIU. Like
yeah,
there's something within like a short drive of you, so you have access in a way other than like television or radio or reading about it or whatever.
right.
Like you can really get there in a way that you can't necessarily in pro sports. It's like you can go
Yeah,
check
well, I
out their
mean,
team,
I
and it's
think of a
cheap.
city, think of a state like Kentucky. Like
Yeah.
college-wise, you are cheering for the University of Kentucky or
Yep.
Louisville or like
Or
maybe
Western
Bowling Green
Kentucky,
or like
middle. You
Bowling
know.
Green or
Yeah.
whatever, like a smaller program. But like realistically, you're generally speaking divided into like Louisville or UK.
Yeah.
Go Louisville. Anyways, but like there as a state, Kentucky also borders states that have pro sports teams because obviously the
Yep.
Pacers in Indianapolis. For football, there's the Titans in Tennessee
Yep.
or the Bengals in Cincinnati. Like they border states that have pro teams. But at the end of the day, Louisville or UK are the biggest games in town because it's
Yep.
their actual cities.
Yep. It's in your backyard.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I think that's really interesting. I would be curious to know about that Instagram account because I don't know, the thought just kind of came to me, but I was like, I think college sports it is a very uniquely American thing because the university is like strangely important to American culture, despite the fact that American culture is trying to eliminate the university these days.
They're also trying to eliminate like literacy. You know what I mean?
Well, like intellectualism, like
That's
having
a
a
whole
brain,
thing. Like,
having a brain's a
yeah.
bad thing, but
Yeah.
yeah, for
Using it
sure.
is even worse.
Yeah, how dare
That's
you
discouraged.
use
Highly discouraged.
cut the tape? But
Yeah.
it's fascinating how like as soon as it comes to like the university is super important as soon as we start talking about sports. But I think that's partially because yeah, those programs have the same like importance to the culture of those
Yep.
localities that say like English Premiership Soccer has or things like the WHL or the OHL in Canada, like those minor hockey leagues. Like the Hitmen are insanely popular.
Yeah. If you live in like fucking like Brighton or like Wolverhampton in England,
Yeah,
like the like Brighton, Hove Albion, and like Wolverhampton Wanderers are like the thing in your town.
it's
If you
it.
live in Manhattan, Kansas, a town of 50,000 people that has a stadium that holds 50,000 people, Kansas
Yeah.
State athletics is the thing. And
Well, yeah,
like you
for
and
sure.
everyone in that town and everyone in like the 20 outlying towns in northeastern Kansas, that's what y'all do.
You kind of see
That's the
that.
entertainment.
But you see that in Canada in cities like Saskatoon, Regina, Winnipeg, like the
Yeah.
smaller cities that don't really have pro teams. Like for instance, like the Riders. The Riders are actually one of the best-selling franchises in North America. They
Yeah.
compete with with NFL teams in terms of like the amount of merchandise and just like
And they've been
support.
playing for 100 years probably, right?
Yeah,
CFL
well
is
they
hella
have
old.
been. The CFL has a very like long history, but the Riders have been and they're the only game in town. So like living inside like I obviously not a Riders fan. Go Lions.
Lame.
But when I was living, but the Riders do their training camp in the Huskies, the University of Saskatchewan Husky Stadium, which was
Yeah.
like behind where I lived. So I just walked back from the gym and watched football players, which was always like entertaining. I was like watching training camp for free.
Man, as part of a family that has a husky, I'm disappointed that you are not rooting for your hometown.
I cheer for the University of Saskatchewan
Adopted
Huskies.
town. Okay, good. Good.
Yeah, yeah. Of course I cheer for the Huskies.
Okay, I was thinking CFL for a second. I
No,
thought you were
no.
talking
Well,
about
because that's where the Riders host it. The Riders training camp is
yeah.
at the U of S. Because because basically all of the CFL teams host their training camp at like a university. So the BC Lions host their training camp at TRU, which is where I went to do my undergrad.
Who was the Dinos again? Was that Calgary?
Calgary, yeah. I don't know
Yeah.
where they do their the Dinos. So the Dinos actually the University of Calgary owns the stadium the Stampeders play in. So the
Amazing.
Stampeders don't actually own the university or like the stadium. The university does, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And why it's decrepit. But anyways, McMahon forever. But yeah, like I don't know. Saskatchewan is like and Manitoba are like batshit for sports, but some of that is because like there's only one thing really in town. Like the Winnipeg has the Jets again, But like the Riders are so big in football because they're the only pro sports team in Saskatchewan of any kind. So like
I'm not shocked.
aside from the
Whereas-
Riders, you're cheering for like junior B and like minor hockey teams, right? Like you're cheering for the WHL, you're cheering for like minor hockey. So
Not
like
even got
aside
pro
from that,
curling.
I mean obviously pro curling, duh. But like obviously. But in terms of big sports, that actually draw tens of thousands of people.
No offense to the curling community.
Yeah, I'm part of that community and
We love y'all. We love y'all.
yeah.
It's a great sport. I actually do like it. I do.
I mean, it's like a very unique, interesting sport, but yeah,
I want
we
to learn
don't
how to
draw.
play. I want to learn.
I'm actually a coach. I actually am a certified coach. I could teach you.
Not over Zoom. We're not in the same place.
No, like one day in person, we'll do this. Wine and Dime
Yeah,
goes
okay.
curling. It's gonna be
Okay.
the funniest Instagram reel ever.
Yeah.
Me trying to coach you, but yeah. Anyways, Saskatchewan.
There's a video of me getting coached on how to play cricket. Like, I can pull this off. I can do it.
Okay, I'm into it. But no, like Saskatchewan reminds me a lot of like places like like Kansas, like you're talking about, like these kinds of places where it's like there's nothing else going on. This is the one team. So like you cheer for them or you don't, but they're the only thing happening. So up to you. If you want a social life, enjoy. So I don't know. College sports is like a very fascinating like thing. I don't know. But I do think it's closer to European club sports than professional North American sports.
Yeah. It reminds me a lot of D2 college sports.
Yeah.
D2, D3, depending on how big There's some U Sports teams that are, like, let's be honest, they're D3 programs. There's some that are like D2 programs.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, well,
Yeah.
U Sports for sure. I mean, I just meant more like the whole concept of collegiate athletics.
Yeah.
And especially the United States is very much connected. It's very similar to like the whole sort of fan like driven leagues you see in Europe and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it is weird because like instead of like fan owned, it's like state owned. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, land grant universities, which is why the stadiums are so fucking big, right?
Well, some of them
Because,
at
like,
least.
Yeah, because like the university owns the land, so they don't have to like beg the city to clear 3 blocks to throw a stadium up or an extension. Like they're like,
University
no,
can
this is
just
our
start
shit.
some student housing and they're like, whatever.
We can make this motherfucker as big as we want. Like we can put 110,000 seats in this shit. Like, and
Well, yeah. No, they do.
They literally do.
I have a family friend who, her and her husband, their thing lately has been going to college football games. And because that's the thing, it's like also becoming a source of tourism, right? Like people, because college football has become huge in Canada.
Yeah,
Just even
There's
weirder.
national TV games all the time.
It's actually weirder. Okay, so college athletics being so popular in Canada like weirds me out even more than like pro sports. And I think just because like it's one thing to arbitrarily choose a city and cheer for their team, right? Like tons of my friends are like Packers, Lions, Bears, like northern sort of American city teams, right? Or you have a connection to watching that team. Like my mom's a Cowboys fan because she fell in love with Roger Staubach or whatever. Like I know, I agree.
Who is she? Hank Hill?
Yeah. Quite literally, actually, sometimes yes, for real. It's very funny.
Hey, I watched Kansas State versus fucking Seton Hall on Canadian television yesterday.
Yeah, but it's
You know what I
weird
mean?
to me because like I even arbitrarily have chosen a university like an American college to cheer for, and I'm like I have even less connection to that college than I have to a whole city. Like at least like my mom cheered for the Cowboys for decades before she'd ever been to fucking Texas. Like, but it's like at least you're choosing a pro sports team. There's like players from other cities. It's like you can find a reason. A college is even more local, so like you are usually a local person if you know it exists or want to cheer for it. And so it's so strange when like I have friends, like one of my best friends, he's a diehard Oregon fan, where he's got like every Ducks hat imaginable, like whatever, like big Oregon fan, and it's like no judgment, but I just find it so strange where I'm like, how did we manage to choose a university? Like not just a city, a university.
I feel like
something even more specific.
A Canadian rooting for like Louisville, like a city where not only is it really far from the Canadian border, but has like and is pronounced in such a way that like is incompatible with the Canadian accent.
Yes,
100%. Would be like me being a fan of like the Montreal Victoire or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's,
You're a big
it's like
fan
a little weird.
Suddenly you're a big fan of Laval. Like what?
I just love the Nordiques, man. Like that's my
right. It's weird. Like, and that's exactly it. Like I find it very strange that my football allegiance. I mean, like it's one thing to just.
They had Lamar Jackson though.
Yeah, they did. No. But exactly. But it's like it's so strange to be like, I don't know, that I'm like, yeah, you know what? Louisville's my team. I've been there one time.
Yeah.
but I liked it. I don't know, like whatever. You just sports fandom is stupid. Is kind of what the ultimate
Yeah,
point
yeah,
here? But like college sports are so strange that it's like because in reality you're cheering for players and programs, but like essentially you're cheering for a pro sports team. It just says University of Alabama on the jersey.
yeah, yeah.
At the end of the day, I don't know. It's weird. It's just so strange.
I'm rooting for the nation's greatest crop growing program.
Honestly, your alma mater and my alma mater are like the same, just from different countries.
We've won the national crop growing
I'm pretty sure the University of Saskatchewan
championship
has
several
too.
times. They
I don't
bring
know
them
if
out at
we.
halftime at the football games and like legitimately hand them
Okay.
a trophy. Like it's a big fucking deal. Like
I
they're good
don't
at
know
farming,
that that
man.
exists in Canada, but if it does, I'm certain the University of Saskatchewan agricultural program has won it.
Our campus has a dairy farm and a nuclear reactor on it.
Okay, no nuclear reactor, but
Yeah,
we
you
have dairy
had you
farm
there.
though.
The nuclear reactor's weird. It's weird, but we have one.
It's yeah, I mean the
There's
Manhattan
only like four
Project,
universities that have one. Kansas State is one.
because Manhattan Project, I'm guessing.
Seems like having that near the farm seems unsafe.
I
The
mean,
nuclear program students must be very good because there's no radioactive cows yet.
yet
The
that we
ice
know.
cream did not give me a third arm or anything, so
Okay, well, no superpowers reported.
yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, that would have been.
The USask dairy farm gave, or well, not the dairy farm, but the USask like farming program, because like where the graduate housing was built was like kind of not very far from just like their fields,
Mhm.
and my allergies were so bad because I have an allergy to dust and like hay. I get hay fever really bad. So
Damn,
growing up in the prairies, rough. And
damn,
yeah, Saskatoon tried to kill me every spring. Actually, Louisville tried
damn.
to kill me because I went in the spring, and the Ohio Valley in the spring. Buddy, so much pollen, I almost died. I was taking like horse-sized antihistamines. It was a miracle I
Jesus,
survived. Yeah.
man.
And yet I still chose Louisville as my team. I don't know.
Oh, Cardinals.
Go Cards. Anyways, Cava. How are we feeling about the Cava? We haven't talked about the Cava at all.
I mean, this might be.
Speaking of
You may have
international,
noticed.
speaking of
You may have
international coming
noticed.
on in,
Maybe my tipsiest episode in a while. It's also because the bottle is, as you can see in the video version of
black.
this podcast, very dark. I can't tell how much I've had other than by the weight of the bottle, and I would venture to guess quite a bit.
Yeah, no, mine's definitely mostly empty as well. So we've done
Yeah,
good on this
it's
episode.
less heavy than it was
The
when I started.
sparkling
It's
wine
nice.
means I feel like so the other I would say after this, the other sort of drunker episode we've had was the Ruffino Prosecco Rosé Prosecco episode. So sparkling wine apparently gets us going.
Yeah,
Okay.
shout out to Catalunya. This place winery has
Freixenet.
like a Catalan ass name, and
I
it's
think
interesting.
it's called
It's a
Freixenet.
fun language. It's like a
Freixenet or
French
something.
Spanish hybrid.
Yeah, so these guys are low-key repped by my nemesis agency in Canada here, but it is a very good product. So we didn't actually talk about the wine at all. We just jumped right on into the Clippers being a nightmare, which means we've sort of shortchanged the Cava we're drinking. So
It's nice.
for the uninitiated, Cava is essentially just Spanish champagne, and that specific marketing term has been banned in Europe since champagne became a protected region. But cava is when we say Spanish champagne, basically means that it's a traditional method sparkling, so it's produced exactly like champagne, but in Spain and with more traditional Spanish grapes.
In the way that you can make something that is exactly like tequila and it still be called mezcal, this is exactly like champagne, but it's called cava.
Yeah. Well, and there's like protected regions in Spain, so cava is like a real thing now. So typically when you see like in Canada too, you're starting to see more sparkling wines that come up saying traditional method, and that's just their way of saying they produce it similarly to champagne, usually out of similar grapes. But these are more traditional Spanish grapes. It's super tasty. I don't know. Sparkling wine goes hard all the time for me. I was just I got to pour at a champagne and sparkling festival Friday night, which was super fun. Anytime I get to pour champagne is always a good time. But yeah, this is really tasty. The beautiful thing about cava is that you can get really high quality cava for like a very small fraction of what champagne actually costs.
Yeah.
So you still get it's not the thing with prosecco is obviously prosecco is cheaper than champagne, but prosecco is also a different style of wine. This is more similar to a champagne, but without nearly the same level of price attached to it. So definitely get you some cava in your life. That shit's tasty.
This was like 16, 17 Canadian dollars. It is quite nice. It's got like a little bit of dryness to it, but not too
Yeah.
much. It's pretty well balanced. I'm still enjoying it.
Yeah, I think I like it a
Wow,
little
there's not
better
that much left
than
in this bottle. I'm realizing now.
I like it better than the Bodega Prosecco.
Yeah, yeah. It's good. It's good. I
I mean,
like
the
it.
thing about Cava is you're gonna get more like depth of flavor than you'll get from a Prosecco.
Yeah,
Uh, so this is pretty tasty. I will begrudgingly admit it's delicious. I'm still gonna steal facings in the coolers in my
yeah.
stores of this wine. They don't deserve more facings than they already have. But yeah, it's pretty tasty. I enjoy it. I don't know, sparkling just slaps, and I love me some champagne, but I'm too cheap to buy champagne all the time, so.
I very intentionally waited until we started recording the episode to pop the bottle. I hope the audio came through. I don't know if it did, but
I'm sure it did. If it didn't, mine did. I also waited to pop my bottle till we were recording.
I do love that there's a disclaimer on here. Point bottle away from people when opening.
So, funny story, on Friday, I low-key got smoked in the face by a cork. So,
What is this, amateur hour?
I know! You'd be surprised. I literally, so normally, when you unscrew the cage, it should be 6 twists, and then you just twist it with the cage on. But for some reason, I like lifted my hand off the cage before twisting the cork to start opening, and it just popped. Like immediately after I had finished unscrewing the cage, like lifted my hand or something just briefly, and it popped and it smoked me right in the lip.
Yeah.
Thankfully, no marks, so we're safe. But yeah, I got hit in the face with a cork. It was really embarrassing. I'm like, I promise I know how to open sparkling wine. I promise. But yeah, anyways, any final thoughts here before we close out this episode?
The demise of Kansas State basketball may have been might have been overreacting a little bit. Well, women's anyway. We beat Ole Miss today. They were undefeated and ranked
Ooh,
after a tough 5-5 start of the season. The men's team
spicy.
though, I worry for Jerome Tang's employment because it's
Unfortunate.
looking. The Seton Hall coach called us soft, and he may not have been wrong. It makes me sad.
It's tough when your opponent calls you soft and they're not wrong. You're like,
Yeah, but
yeah, it's
also
tough. It's tough when you agree with the assessment of your own coach. You're like,
yeah, but also if you're a Kansas State fan, Colin Klein coming back home, I'm about to hit the Heisman pose in front of the mirror. We may be back. We may be
amazing.
back. Unless hopefully some rich people donate us some money. That
Well, that would be nice. Cool. Well, good for Kansas State. Yeah, Ole Miss has actually been really good, so that's crazy that you took him down.
SEC being good at hoops is taking some getting used to, but that's the new reality we live in.
Yeah. And honestly, Ole Miss being good at anything ever for any program is
Yeah.
a new weird reality.
If you ever get bored, ask an Ole Miss fan why the team's called the Rebels. What are they rebelling against? Who knows? Who knows?
Oh God. Oh my God.
Just rebelling against their parents for the
Did you ever watch the 30 for 30 on the undefeated Rebels team?
Mm-mm.
It's really good.
I think the last 30 for 30 I saw was Once Brothers, and that
Elite.
it got really dusty in my room at the end of that one.
Yeah. Some onions
Yeah.
onions were being cut.
Yeah.
I am stalling while I look for the title of the Ole Miss one.
I think with the Running Rebels, like the UNLV Running Rebels by chance, or you think about Ole Miss?
No, this is Ole Miss. So
Yeah.
it's called Ghosts of Ole Miss, and it's really
I know
good.
the racism's gonna be premium and that shit. Like,
Yeah, it's not great. So it's ESPN's like Wright Thompson does it, and I love
yeah.
Wright Thompson. I think he's actually one of their
Yeah.
best like long form writers.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because it kind of talks about the same year that Ole Miss went undefeated in college football, they also was the first year that Ole Miss desegregated. So
Yeah.
it was a really like fascinating, like it was a really cool, it was really interesting 30 for 30 in particular because Wright Thompson, first of all, I'd assume you're familiar.
I am not actually. I
Oh, really?
forgot.
Okay, so
I'm
Wright
not, yeah.
Thompson, he did like ESPN, he did their like ESPN magazine and like long form kind of writing. And he's kind of like, he's like the, like, well, Mirren Fader is like our kind of current contemporary for that, for, you know, profiles, things like that. Wright Thompson did a lot of that kind of stuff. And he's from Mississippi and his family, I can't remember if he had family who went to Ole Miss or whatever. He's connected, but anyways, connected to Ole Miss. So for him, it was like kind of a bit introspective, but the 30 for 30 is about the one season that Ole Miss football went undefeated. And at the same time, it was the year that they had like the worst race riots and because there was desegregation and stuff. And it was just like, it's a really fascinating, it was really interesting doc and like really well done. in that like a lot of the players also struggle with talking about that year because it's like, how do we celebrate our greatest accomplishment while at the same time, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
If I'm not mistaken, Mississippi is the blackest state in the U.S.
I believe so, yes.
And it's also one of the ones that is notorious for being incredibly
Yeah.
unkind to black people.
Yeah, it's not great. No, long history of,
Yeah.
they were definitely the most adamant about their reasons for fighting for the Confederacy and the Civil War being for the protection of slavery.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mississippi's like a complicated, it's a very interesting state that I've weirdly always wanted to visit. I think
Yeah.
because, I mean, I've always been a huge blues fan, so from like musically and
Yes.
culturally in that sense, I'm like
Yes.
very interested in Mississippi. And also
Great
just,
art from Mississippi.
I'm like
Even
historically
though
and very, yeah.
even though they put sugar in their grits allegedly, I still appreciate some of the people in Mississippi. I know that sounds like disgusting, deviant behavior, but no, we'll allow it. We'll allow it. Salt grits are the way to go, though.
I actually just listened to a really cool podcast too about this exhibit. Well, it's not entirely about this exhibit, but it was about the asylum in Jackson, and like,
Yeah.
it was just really interesting because they've been discovering, or not really discovering, but there's been a need for construction on this cemetery near the asylum at the University of Mississippi like hospital in Jackson, and the podcast was kind of about people trying to find their relatives who had been sent to this asylum, and I don't know, it's hard to describe, but it was a really interesting podcast and very like I don't know, really, it was really like captivating. But I've always felt like a very like strong interest in going to places like, I mean, I don't know, I've always been obsessed with the blues, so that's just like my thing.
You should watch Sinners. Sinners.
Yeah, I really want to see Sinners. I'm not a horror. I'm not a horror person, so I struggle.
It's not horror heavy. I'm not a horror person either. It's not really.
Okay.
There's vampires, but it's not like a horror movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
It's really good.
No, I want to check it
Also, shout out
out.
to Mississippi. Big Crit put out a new album this week. I'm gonna check it out after this pod. And Dear Silas, upcoming name from Mississippi, also makes some great music.
That's sick.
Shout out to Mississippi.
I don't know. I feel like it's
shout out to David Banner. I'm shouting out David Banner. Also, Mississippi.
Right.
Put him on the map.
Hell yeah. I don't know. It just seems like a cool place. Like, and yeah, we had some friends who went to Oxford. They went to Ole Miss to a game this year, and they were like, "Oh, it's a really cool city." They're like, "It's definitely like you can tell it's a wealthier city compared to other places around it."
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just like fascinated by it. I don't know. I'm just like, I'm interested in these things. I'm jealous. My partner's in New Orleans right now. I'm dying, being here, freezing to death.
Yeah.
This is brutal.
The South is a fascinating place. I almost wound
Yeah.
up in Biloxi for a bit. Didn't wind up happening. The South is the Deep South is interesting, man.
It's an interesting place. I've always been super interested in history, and I did a lot of American history in my degree, actually. We had a really great American history professor, and so I took a lot of his courses. I mean,
Is he Canadian or American?
He was American. Yeah, he's been living up here for a long time. So he actually fought in Vietnam. His hands are like really fucked up from, he was on the riverboats, and his hands are like super fucked up from a gun like jammed or some shit and exploded in his hand.
That's not good.
No, but he's a cool dude, so I did a course with him. It was like America from 1938 until 1947, 1948.
Yeah.
Essentially, it was Depression and War.
Right.
The Great Depression and the War.
Depression and War is a great tagline for.
It literally was called. It was literally called like History something Depression and War, and like that's what it was called. And I took that class, and I got to write my term paper about American traditional tattooing. So.
Shit.
Yeah.
Like your like sailor type tattoos.
Yeah. So my final term paper was called Hearts, Ships, and Naked Chicks, and it was about like American.
Amazing. I used to live next to one of the oldest like tattoo parlors in Hawaii that did those kind of tattoos.
Yeah, I talked about essentially the there's before Sailor Jerry and after Sailor Jerry in tattooing, because Sailor Jerry in Hawaii was one of the most important figures, and like obviously the rum and like the whole culture shit kind of exploded, but he actually is very exceptionally like important to tattooing because he was the first one to really test a lot of colors. He was the first to use like single use sort of technology, things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got to write a paper about that so shout out to Dr. Michael Gorman. I love this man. He's truly one of my favorite people in the world. He's from, I actually remember where he's from. I think he's from Virginia for some reason. But anyways, awesome dude.
Shout out to
And
Virginia, 2 up, 2 down.
He did a course. I never got to take it, but he has a course on the 60s, and everyone always writes the same paper. So for this Depression and War class, he was like, I'm not reading 17 variations of the same fucking thing. So he decided that everyone was gonna get an FDR fireside chat that they had to like choose, and then you could like write your paper about it.
Yeah.
Unless you had like another idea, but he had to approve it. And I was like, hey, Michael, so like, what if I was gonna write a paper about like tattooing? And he is like, sure, fuck it, like, why not? And it turned out to honestly be one of the best papers I wrote. It was like one of the coolest like research topics I ever did. But
that's what's up. That's what's up.
No, I did a lot of American history classes because he was awesome. So shout out Michael Gorman, what a hero.
Damn,
I love that guy. Yeah. Anyways, you can tell we're kind of drunk because we're just going places. So I guess we should end this now. Shout out Freixenet. Shout out the Cava. The Cava did this to us.
Yep. Shout out to Spain. Shout out to Mikel Arteta.
Shout out to anybody.
You know.
Shout out to the Gasol brothers. Shout out to the Hernan Gomez brothers.
Oh, man, shout out to Rudy fucking Fernandez, man.
Shout out Ricky Rubio.
Dunk contest participant.
Honestly, though, like, Spain never dies when it comes to basketball, even if they're never, like...
Sun never sets on Spain.
Even if they don't, that never sets on Spain. Even if they don't have, like, the same, like, top end, like, they don't have the Gasols, like, those, like, NBA, like, top end talents anymore, they're so good still, no matter what. Like, I don't know. Yeah. Hernan Gomez brothers are elite when they play for Spain every time.
Yeah. They might fuck around and win the World Cup, too, so...
They might. But, anyways, on that note, shout out to Spain, and we'll be back.
Later.